That might be working. That should be working, I think. Oh dear, it's all gone Pete Tong. Is it working? I have no idea. Black screen of death. Is this working? I have no idea. Yes, it appears to be working. Is it in sync?
Seems to be.
I have no idea what happened there. That is very confusing. Dear. All out of sync, mate, sorry. Ugly Bob. Welly Bob says out of sync. Sound good. Sorry, it is in sync, Welly Bob says. Okay, excellent stuff. Sound is working, in sync. You can see things. It's not horribly laggy. Excellent stuff. Wow. First stream of the new year. Oh, hang on, what's that? The audio stream's current bitrate is lower than recommended. The audio stream's current bitrate is 0. How is that even possible? David Underhill says, sound is okay. I can see a Baldy boy. That'd be me. And yes, the new case is in the background. Ta-da! As you can see. Hence the title of tonight's stream. Sorry, my throat's gone real funny all of a sudden. It's been perfect all day almost, apart from my back. I've done my back in the ging, and yes, before William Bodie asks, I do have the belt on to try and support my back. Although it probably would have been better to wear it before I did my back in, but hey ho, this is the way things go. Dutch Jan says, looks empty. Yes, that is something that we will be discussing definitely on tonight's stream. The fact that it does look very, very empty, especially down this side. Which means one of two things. Either the case is too big, or I need more stuff to go in it. I'm not entirely sure which way to go. I was looking forward to getting a 4070 Ti, but obviously that has been put to waste, because that is not going to happen, because it's ridiculously it's just crazy expensive. So, Ugly Bob says it needs a Fumo doll in there.
Does not.
CAF is dead against that. We had this discussion, and CAF has vetoed that suggestion already.
Maybe a kitten or two.
Yeah, put some kittens in there. Alessa says that's why you're supposed to stuff it with water cooling parts. I can actually agree. The graphics card that's in there isn't actually a particularly small one. It's an RTX 3060 Ti, which in most builds actually looks pretty okay. But I've just realised it is actually the same width as a motherboard. If it was a custom card, it would look a little bit bigger. If it was like an MSI Trio X Gaming, that would look much better. I think it would be a lot longer. I've got to stop spinning around. I was going to do my back in. But anyway, it's turned out to be quite a nice build. I got to be honest with you. I'm still not entirely sure whether it's too big. It's quite an imposing case.
What do they think? Because we're in the same room, but
Yeah.
just little.
I'm used to this kind of compressed area that we're in, which is quite small, but I'll be interested to hear what you lot think about it. Does it look
Okay on camera.
Does it look okay on camera? There's elements of it that I love, and there's elements that I dislike, and some of which the dislike is the fact it's so bloody big. Ugly Bob says, I bow to Lady Calf's authority. As we all do. As we all do.
When?
Sometimes. Not always. So we've got a few other things we're going to be looking at today as well. Obviously, we'll be taking a closer look at the case if you want to. If you've got any comments or questions on the case, if you want to see any bits or you want me to do any measuring, I've got the measuring equipment on the wall ready to go. So if you're wondering what sort of radiators or what sort of fans or what sorts of coolers you can put in there, I am here at your mercy to take all those sorts of questions. And also we're going to be taking a look at some other things which we've been sent in this week as well, from both viewers and Discord members, other companies, and stuff that we've actually bought ourselves as well. And finally, as if it was never going to happen, I finally purchased my first Seasonic power supply. In the... I'm trying to think how many years now. When did I start PC stuff? 96? When did we get married? What year?
96.
It was 96, wasn't it? So from roughly February 1996 up until a couple of days ago, I have never owned a Seasonic power supply. And you can tell what's happening or how bad the market must be where a skinflint like myself buys a Seasonic power supply. But don't worry, it was cheap. I didn't pay the full price for it. It's actually on offer at the moment. So if you're looking for a relatively inexpensive power supply, which is gold rated, it's not modular, which is a bit of a shame, but it's basically ticks all the boxes. And I've been testing it. The actual voltage rails are ridiculously solid. I mean ridiculously. The 12 volt, the 5 volt and the 3.5 volt rails are insanely stable. I've never seen a power supply like it. I've never owned a power supply like it. And it's one of those things that I don't normally often look at. So sometimes I'll fire up.
Normally often. What
Yeah.
kind of English is that?
Let me retract that slightly. So obviously when I'm doing testing, I do look at temperatures and stuff. And if I'm having problems with the PC, then I'll scroll up a little bit in hardware monitor and take a look and see what the actual voltages are like, see what the rails are like. So I don't always pay huge attention to it. But I was bored and my back was playing up, so I just sat here hobbling over the desk and I just looked at the voltage rails on it. And the 12 volt rail read exactly 12 volts.
Sorry.
And did not deviate once within testing. So the average rail was 12, the minimum was 12, and the maximum was 12. Bang on. Not 12.1 or 11.98 or anything. Literally 12 volts, absolutely rock solid stable throughout a couple of hours of testing. And the same with the 3.3 volt. It was 3.329. So about as close to 3.3333 as you can possibly get. And it stayed at that rock solid. And the 5 volt as well. It wasn't 4.9, it wasn't 5.01. It was literally 5 volts. Absolutely rock solid. And it just seemed very odd because I'm so used to watching them, especially because we use generally, on the whole, cheaper power supplies. You often see a little bit of fluctuation there. And I challenge you now, open up Hardware Monitor or Hardware Info 64, take a look at your motherboard voltage rails, look at the 12 volt, the 3.3 and the 5 and see if they flicker or deviate. I'm guessing most of you, they probably will, but there's going to be the odd one or two that it's absolutely rock solid. But do it and even run something like Unigine or CPU bench, anything like that which stresses the system out and see if it fluctuates. Ridiculously stable all the way through, under testing, under basically idle conditions, bang on, absolutely rock solid stable, which actually surprised me. Nick Barnes says, Hardware Monitor lies, lol, bribed. I don't know how Hardware Monitor can actually lie. It seems like the voltages would be reading from the motherboard and it's just a rule thing, but I don't know. Maybe they are.
Why don't you say hellos?
Yes, I should say some hellos. Well done. Is it a semi-modular power supply? Sadly not. It is a fully captive cable, which is the downside, but it's only 45 quid delivered from scan.co.uk. So for a gold rated power supply from Seasonic, and is actually from Seasonic, it's not one of their earlier SI ones, the system integrator ones where they were made by a third party. These are from Seasonic. It's a Seasonic power supply. So that was awesome. So let's scroll back up and have a look and speak to some of you lovely people in chat, and also say thank you to Mick Woods, first of all, for the super chat. Says, hope my kid isn't in too much pain. Not too bad at the moment. If I'm sat down, it's relatively okay. I think I may blame, actually, remember I put those stupid wheels on my stool? That has something to do with it, I'm sure, because every time I go to sit down, I miss the chair, or it moves. But stupidly, I did my back in the most ridiculous thing. They say, actually, in statistics, people that have done their backs in, they do it in the most kind of well, day-to-day things, such as tying up your shoelaces, making the bed, bending over to pick up the post. Those are the sort of things where you do the injuries for some reason, rather than being like in an accident of some sort, or falling down the stairs, or tripping over one of your 4 cats which are running around aimlessly in the house. So yeah, mine was actually doing up my shoelaces. It was getting bad, and I could feel every now and then there was like a little bit of a tweak there, and I was like, oh, that's not good, that's going to go soon. And Kath said, oh, should we go down to the shops and get some dinner? Yes, excellent idea, I'll do that. I will just put my shoes on, and I literally tied up my shoelace, bent over on this stool, tying up my shoelace, and I had the most outrageous pain go through my spine. And it was like, oh my God, that's it, I'm done. And I said, we were literally about to go out the door. I said, I'll try and do it. So I was like supporting myself on everything I could grab in this room, trying to get out to the front door. Got to the end of the driveway and a little bit further on, like a car's length away from my driveway. I was like, I'm sorry, Kath, I can't do it. I just can't. I don't want to get to the point where you're going to have to carry me home because I don't think you'll manage it, and I don't want to be led on the cold floor. So yes, that was what happened there. So also got Ugly Bob with us. Ghost Adder, nice to see you in the chat. Paul Bakewell also says good evening all, and good evening Bob, and afternoon Sky. Skystalker's birthday just passed. Excuse me, I'm gonna have to get a drink. I have a frog in my throat. I watched someone earlier doing a live stream. They were doing a news stream, and they just choked on air live, and it was like, God, wouldn't that be awful? Ow! And it is. Do excuse the slurping.
Swallowing.
Actually, for those of you who like our cats, let's give you a quick. There you go. There's Poppy. Pops. No, simply not interested.
Poppy. Poppy.
No.
Say one
Let
phrase
her
and
sleep.
but I'm not-
There you go. You can see how small this studio space is. Some of you have asked the question. Yes, it is a tiny space. There's my desk that I sit at over there. And there is what you normally see. So let's just frame that slightly out. There we go. Okay. Should have grabbed my cup. Oh, there it is. Oh, that hurt. Oh, God. Don't get old. It's very bad for you.
Not, not old.
Who else have we got with us? So we have got Dutch Jan. How you doing, Dutch Jan? Mick Woods again. Thank you for the super chat. And sorry, I didn't answer the rest of that question. Took delivery of a beautiful NZXT H7 Flow. Now trying to decide on an upgrade from a 5600X to maybe a 5800X, or is it worth the extra £100 for the X3D? Well, I think the jewellery is kind of still out on that, really, whether or not it is worth the extra. I don't know, really. It depends what games you're playing. You will find, definitely, if you get a 5800X 3D, that your 1% and 0.1% lows will be significantly increased, just to the way, because how it caches the information. So you may not see a huge bump in actual average FPS, but you may see your 0.1 and 0.1% lows coming up a little bit more, which I suppose will have a slight increase on average FPS. But that is basically going to make it a lot more consistent, your frames, which for AMD is excellent, because that is something which AMD have for many years, really, even since the kind of the old AMD K6-2500 3D chips with 3D Now. Those were always at the point where they were really good and they're quite fast and they were good for at the time. But there was always that thing where Intel generally gave you more consistent frames. And I think that is probably kind of where I would sit with it. If you're not playing games which demand extreme fluidity, great word, then I would probably say you're best off putting that extra £100 into maybe a graphics card or maybe some more RAM, depending on what your system configuration is. I've got the 5800X and yeah, pretty happy with it. It runs very well. I don't think I've actually had a 5600X. I've had a 5600G. The 5600X is a good processor. I don't know whether you would notice a huge amount of difference, depending on what you're doing. If it's purely for gaming, I don't think you're going to notice a huge amount of difference for the outlay. But if you can find someone who wants your 5600X for a reasonable price and it kind of goes some way to facilitating the upgrade, then yeah, why not go for it? And I suppose if you look at it, the 5800X 3D is probably going to be the last hurrah for AM4. Then if you're going to do the upgrade, you might as well go the whole hog and go to the very end of the line if you're not looking at one of the sort of more heavy core, heavy processors like the 5950, which really is more for creators than it is for gamers, I would say. But feel free to disagree with me in the comments. That is what it's all about, is a live stream, normally between 8 and 15, he says hesitantly, on a Saturday evening. And again, thank you all for joining us on this Saturday evening. Hopefully you've had a pretty decent new year and you've not got the old sniffles and stuff like that. I do find a lot of us, we get to that point where we're kind of fired up on adrenaline all through kind of mid-autumn into kind of fireworks nights. Then you got Christmas, the run up to that. So the adrenaline's going, you're like, oh, I've got to get things ready, got to do Christmas Day. And then you get to kind of just after Christmas Day and New Year, and all of a sudden your body's like, and relax. And then your body says, right, now I'm a little bit more relaxed, there's not so much adrenaline going around, maybe it's time to flush some toxins, in which case you get ill because the toxins are coming out your body and there's not many other ways they can come out. So either they come out your nose, your arse, or you get fevers and stuff to burn it all out. So
Skin.
yeah, or through your skin, you get rashes and all that kind of stuff, the sweats. So yeah, a lot of you probably at the moment are going to be experiencing that to some extent if you have already. Hopefully you're over the worst of it, and for those of you that haven't, you might as well just get it over with. Just relax, chill, flush your system, it'd be great. Anyway, moving on. Mick Woods, I'm keeping the Mobo B550 Gaming Plus for now. Going to pass the 5600X on to the grandson with a Tomahawk motherboard. That is awesome. William Bode is with us. How you doing, William? And Mike used the belt. I've got the belt on. I have got the belt on. Thank you for that. Ugly Bob has said. Who else we got?
Was it Mapes?
Skystalker, birthday boy, 56 years young.
Don't say that.
Or 55 if you ask something else. Kieran Atkinson's with us. Kieran Atkinson Wood, sorry, I should say. He's hyphenated now. I'll have to call him Cow. Or Cool for short. K-A-W, Cool. He does like his bird stuff, so cool. Where else do we get to? Rick H with us. Aletta. Hello all. I was so busy jamming on my bass, I forgot the stream. No worries. No worries at all. Glad you can make it. Welly Bob. Rick H, Skystalker, Nick Barnes. How you doing, Nick? Mookie MC. Hello, friends and neighbours. And there's a super chat coming from Bob. How much further have I got to scroll down to see that? Oh, blimey, loads. Oh, God, there's loads of chat. Loads of chat. Ugly Bob's coming in with £10 and says, happy birthday, Sky. You're supposed to give them the bloody money to Sky, not to me.
But
Thank you.
you could wish Sky a happy birthday again.
Many happy returns, Sky. Now that Bob's paid me to say it. JB's Arcade Mods. Good evening, Mike and all. And Kath. David Underhill says I have both the 5600X, the 5600G, and the 5600X is about 20% better performance. That sounds about right. Yeah, the 5600G is a great little processor, but really it's more for, I would argue, kind of HTPCs, home theaters, that sort of stuff. If you're looking for all-out performance, you probably don't want a CPU with integrated graphics. Although 12th, 13th and AM5 process, 12th and 13th gen and AM5 probably would kind of disagree with that slightly. Really random reviews. I was advised today to not get the 5600X and get the 5800X3D. I think if you've got the money for it, then you might as well, because it is, like I said, it's probably going to be the last one. They might do another processor on AM4. I would be surprised if we didn't see something, but I would not kind of pin too many hopes on it. Shearer69's with us. How you doing, Shearer69? John Sullivan. At work today, we had to take delivery of 10 75 to 68 inch touchscreen interactive displays. Then return 10 faulty ones. They weighed an absolute ton. Ironically, I did my back in. Mike is right. Yes, it is. If you're doing heavy lifting and you're doing it quite often, then you're probably going to be fine. It's when you don't do stuff, that's when everything starts falling apart, it would seem. Terry Trickett's with us. How you doing, Terry Trickett? Hugh Luttrell, how you doing, Hugh? Lucky Man 1. How you doing, buddy? Okay, I think that is pretty much everyone done. We'll be taking loads of your questions and stuff today, so if you, like I said, if you've got any questions, I was hoping to start doing a build in tonight's stream, but because my back was wrecked, that's the last thing I want to be doing is like reaching inside the cases and stuff, so we won't be doing that. But we will be taking some look at some of the other things. Paul Lamont says, good evening all, by the way, I got the parcel. Excellent, no problem. You can thank Kath for that, because she is the Post Mistress General. And she's over there going...
Did it fit? That's his hat.
It's a hat. Oh, right. I thought he's... I don't know.
Beanie. Can't you tell?
Actually, Paul... I think Paul's in Canada, isn't he? Is it Canada? No? America?
No.
England?
Yeah.
Really? Shit. Oh, dear. Oh, that's good. I'm glad you got it. Yes, so happy birthday to Sky Stalker. So yeah, power supply, Seasonic GC500. I was amazed. I'd never actually considered buying a Seasonic power supply. I don't know why. Ow, shit, that hurt. I don't know why, but it's, I don't know, they've always just seemed to be overpriced for what they are. And at the moment, power supplies are just insane. The prices for power supplies have rocketed, literally. It's very hard. I was looking today to find a reasonable, and when I say reasonable, that means like bottom tier trash level, 80 plus bronze rated 500 watt power supply, which normally I'd get like the Aerocool Cylon, the Aerocool Integrator, the GameMax Rampage, something along those lines, which are normally in the kind of mid-20s to mid-30s. And they're all either out of stock completely or they're now £40 plus. Now when you're spending £40 plus on a power supply, you want something half decent. If there's no offers on, you've got to look around. So when I saw this on Scan, it was posted on our Discord in the Bargains No Chat, and you can't really go too far wrong, can you, with a Seasonic? 7-year warranty, so it's at least likely to outlast the components that are in the computer, I would think. But yeah, I'm pretty pleased with it. The wires are a pain because there's quite a lot of them to cable manage, but I did actually put this power supply into the build into the EM1 woofer, the little micro ATX case that we took a look at last week. And considering how compact that case was, I managed to fit all the cables in there and did actually, for me, I would consider a very neat and tidy job. I think you'll see more of it. I did start doing some of the B-roll today, but my back was just like, no. This isn't happening, Michael. You cannot be getting in stupid angles for the camera to film stuff with your back hanging by a thread. So I gave up on that. But yeah, very pleased. And also, you probably noticed the one on top. This is a mad power supply. Thermaltake, our friends over at Thermaltake, sent, well, this was supposed to come way before Christmas, but the delivery company basically lost all of them. I think there was about 6 that were going out to UK reviewers.
That sounds so rubbish.
And they basically all went missing at the same time. As they do. So, yeah, that was a little bit weird, but a 850 watt SFX power supply with PCI Express Gen 5 compatibility, or ATX 3.0. It is tiny, but it's 850 watts and is gold rated. I just don't get it. It's ridiculous. Ow! There's a super chat from O'Reilly. Thank you, O'Reilly. It says, for you to get treatment on your back. I think the only treatment I need is to stop sitting down at the desk all the time. That is my biggest problem, that I've just sat in here at the chair, answering questions and making videos. I should take more care of myself and at least get some more exercise. We have been going for walks on the night time down to the shop and back, which isn't a lot, but yeah, it is significantly better than it has been.
You need to get on that pole.
So yeah, thank you very much, O'Reilly, for that. Bless your heart. Dave Aitkins says big white cases. Oh, good evening, David, by the way. Oh, hang on. I can. I will do that next. David Aitkins, don't hate me for saying this. I won't hate you for saying it. Not on air. But I think I preferred the last case in the background. the big white bugger isn't as subtle as the all black glass smaller case. I think you're right. I actually do. As much as I love the things that this case does and can do, I feel for this particular environment it is a little bit too big, which is a real shame because I actually love some of the features of it. Like, that is brilliant. I love that. That is so useful, just looking at the LCD display there and knowing exactly what's going on. Like, at the moment I know I'm rendering, and it's rendering on the GPU because I can see the GPU usage. I can see my RAM frequency, I can see how hot the processor is.
Nearer to it.
Huh?
Can you get a camera nearer to it so you can see it better?
Yeah, I think so. Oh, hang on.
Do you want me to do it?
Oh, for God's sake. Ow. Hang on.
But you're chatting away and no one can see anything
Yeah.
you're talking about.
They can. I'll get it closer. Kath said I got to do it. Oh shit, there we go. There we go. I think that's about the best I can get. Is that visible? You see that?
That's better.
There we go. Gives me a chance to get this chewing gum out my teeth as well. Well done.
Again.
So yeah, you've got your RAM load, your CPU temperature, which at the moment is a Ryzen 9 3900X. Frequency 4.2, CPU load is very low. GPU temperature, was that GPU or CPU? GPU. So yeah, it tells you basically lots of things that you may or may not want to know. And actually you can, I go into the software and go into lighting. So if I want to, I can change the accent color. So I can change the accent color to pink or something like that if I want to, or if you're an NVIDIA fanboy or something, then you can choose green. There's different things you can do. You can also show in the carousel, you can also do the weather. Do apply there, so that is the weather, and that generally animates as well, so it tells you what's going on, how much chance it is of raining, the outside temperature, and the highs and lows for the day. And again, you can change those things, so if you want to have the time in a different color, you can do. Just apply the changes, make it stand out a little bit more if you want to. And there's also other things you can do on it, such as there is a clock face, so you can get it to do the time. I don't understand the time being like that, but it is what it is, I suppose. And you can have backgrounds, and there's different styles of the clock, which may appeal. I quite like that one actually, the rolling one. And you can change your background color, so you could have it on a blue background if you want to. Hopefully you can see this. Is it coming through? Yeah, I think it is. Style 4, so you can have a digital LCD, and also you can upload files. Where are we? Open, OK, and apply. So you can have little animations there, and it still shows you things like your CPU frequency, and you've still got your other information there in that bottom corner, which is going around on a carousel. So if you want something else there, you can do, which is kind of cool. You can change those as well.
Can you do in between?
I can't see the screen, unfortunately. Oh yeah, go on then. Where's the other one?
I saw a queue, hold on.
Hang on, where are we? Yeah, you can all upload various different shapes and colours. There is a cat video as well I saw somewhere, but I don't remember where I put it. Not that it's that interesting, I suppose, but...
Will a white case hide dust better than a black case?
There we go. Yes. Yeah. White dust is... well, sorry. White looks a lot better. Oh, where are we going? Oh, there we go. There we go. There's the classic cat licking the tough RAM. Obviously watch one of our other videos.
Not one of our cats. They don't help out like that.
So there is going to be other things they are going to put on here. So let's leave the carousel back on there. Oh god, that's gone a bit freaky. So
RAM at only 1800.
yes, DDR RAM. So if you times that by 2, that gives you your 3600, which is the kind of the default for the RAM. I did. A lot of people say actually, because in things like CPU-Z, it shows that as well.
Sorry for anyone with motion sickness.
Yeah, if anyone's got motion sickness,
You've come to the wrong place.
yeah, sorry about that. Oh, sit down slowly.
Right. Did you want the white version of the case, or that's what was given?
I was given the options of what case colours to have. I don't really normally have many white cases, so I thought I would quite like to have the white. In hindsight, I think I would have possibly preferred the black one. Yes.
69 viewers for Ugly Bob.
69 viewers, Bob.
Right, go on.
So, yeah. David Andrell says, so woohoo, it has a $20 LCD panel. It's a little bit more expensive than that. It's the best it's basically £109 for that panel if you want to add it, which I think is way too much personally. If you like that sort of thing, then it's worth doing. But I suppose it's one of those things where the justification for it would be if you wanted to do your own panel and you want to do a mod, you'd have to have the confidence to kind of cut your case, mount it, then find your USB cable, your HDMI cables and power cables and that stuff, and you'd have to run it as a separate monitor, which sometimes can be problematic in itself. Whereas that is just completely standalone, so it just plugs into a USB port. So that makes it a bit easier. Obviously, Thermaltake have done all the software configurations, etc., etc., and it ties in with the rest of their ecosystem. So if you've got tough RAM, their fans, SWAF fans, and all that kind of stuff, then it all kind of ties into that ecosystem. And some of the prices that people are spending on that type of stuff for custom builds is insane. For most normal, regular people, and I would say probably 90% of the people that watch our videos, that is a complete and utter extravagance, which is not necessary. But it's kind of cool, and I'll be honest, like I said in the video, they've sent it to me for review. So I've not actually had to physically pay for it myself. And if I had to, I would be very, very hesitant. Potentially I might still get it, but I don't know. That is a little bit of a kind of, would I, wouldn't I?
Man like drapey?
How many?
Man like drapey?
Man like JP says, I like it, just can see gaps around the LCD and you can see the RGB behind it. Yeah, there's a small gap all the way around. So the kind of like the light bleeds through it, which is kind of cool.
Bob's just done that, so I suppose from the camera angle it looks just like what it's done.
Bob's sent a Brazzers logo to go on there. That's pretty cool. Aletta says, I don't like white cases. True. David Andrell says, yeah, but they only cost $20 to do yourself. They do, but then it's also the time and effort and all that other stuff. Like Bob actually sent in a little 7-inch touchscreen, which has, obviously this is much bigger, so you can have a little bit more flexibility on there, but you could put something like that in there. If you can find somewhere to hide the wires and stuff, you could have a really, really cool little display in there. In fact, that would probably fit in there quite nicely. And I've got another one of these that Skystalker sent, which has got its own kind of upright brackets, which I was considering doing a similar thing to, because in terms of actually using a 7-inch screen for an actual display, it's actually quite difficult because the text is quite small. But for things like that, for showing your system stats, etc., it is quite doable. If you can configure something like hardware monitor to actually show what you want it to do, and you want to spend the time and effort to do that, then definitely you can do it. But I think for the kind of some of the market where they don't really want to go through all that hassle, just having a panel which you can just plug in, run the software and be done with it, I think is a good option. Whether or not it's the right price, that is another matter altogether, but I think it's a good option. And the fact that it fits in there very easily, it's only 2 screws, so you don't have to get a Dremel out or anything. It's kind of cool. Mookie says, the area in front of the motherboard is perfect to display an action figure. I agree. CAF doesn't. I wanted to put a 12-inch Stormtrooper in there. Or potentially, where's that dildo thing gone?
Yeah, that'd be alright.
I could put Bob's blue dildo in there.
Is it on the top shelf?
Where did I put it? I moved it somewhere because it was up there and it fell down.
What, into your mouth?
Yeah. Where did I put it? Did I put it in the kitchen?
No idea, I haven't seen it.
I thought I put it in one of these.
I bet it's in your bedside table.
It's in my bedside table. Gosh darn it. The secret's out. Lucky Man says, just get a 5-inch LCD, 40 quid, Raspberry Pi, cheap, more moddable. It is. If you know how to use a Raspberry Pi and you want to go through that, definitely there are lots and lots of ways of saving money on this. Sky says, I have 3 more screen, but I'll try again. I have like 3 more screens looking for a home. I still haven't found a real home for the last one. I really must get my act together. Welly Bob says, Mike, is the new case any cooler than the previous one, assuming the same tech was inside? Yes, it is a few degrees cooler. Not massively so, because it is essentially the same stuff. But the difference being is we had 9 fans previously, whereas now we're down to 7. So, I don't know. You could argue one way or the other. I still think I did prefer the compactness of the VXR. But with that compactness, is that even a word? There were limitations. So I've got the 360mm rad in there, but in the VXR, that was a real pain in the backside to actually achieve. And I suppose now, yeah, I suppose arguably this is easier to work with now. So if I do have to change anything out, then it is a lot easier to work with. I don't have to undo 4 screws, take the glass panel out every time I want to do anything. I just turn the handle, open it up, I'm inside. So there are benefits for it. Whether or not they're tangible ones, I don't know. It is a big case. I wish it was smaller. If it was a bit smaller on one of the axes, maybe even more stumpy, I think I would prefer it. But I am already thinking of getting rid of this on the back and just putting a desk behind here so I can bring everything down a bit more. But I don't know. I kind of like this bit as well. This is for someone who tweaks with things a lot or messes around with stuff. This is actually very handy because I can just open that panel there. I've got my power supply there. I've actually got a USB for plugging in other Thermaltake stuff. I've got that there ready and waiting. And also I've got some SATAs and Molecs there. So if I want to plug anything else in quickly, I don't have to turn off the whole PC and do anything. I can just undo this panel and I've got access to all of the cabling should I need it, which is, again, pretty cool, especially in the way that I use a PC here. Clearly that isn't going to be everyone's cup of tea, but I think that's, again, where Thermaltake are headed. Like a lot of the other markets, to be honest with you, if you look at CES, you've got people like InWin and who else was it? Even MSI are starting to do cases where there's a little bit more modding that can be done. And InWin have gone completely kind of airfix on stuff. So maybe it's the way things are going. I don't know. O'Reilly. The Ultimate Q. Did Mike ever find a home for that 200mm knock your case fan there? No, still not done it. No. As much as I've tried, it is... it has eluded me. So far. I've not given up. I did get to the point where I was just going to sell them. Get rid of them because they're pointless being on the shelf and somebody somewhere must have use for them. But I'm not saying... it's over.
You could make like a custom hat
it's not
for
over.
The summer with it.
You could do, yeah.
A power pack on your back.
Raman says, is that Kaiser? Kaiser Raman, Mike, can I say if you have back pain, try boil some milk with a 1/4 full teaspoon of haldi?
Yeah, what is that?
What is haldi? I don't know what that is, sorry.
What could we use instead?
Sounds good. Nick Barnes, Q, do you think time is running out to build AM4 systems or upgrades? Well, time is running out. Time is obviously like a linear thing, so every second time is effectively running out. That's being literal. If you took, well, AM3 I think phased out much quicker than AM4 will. I think AM4 still holds a massive amount of value. There's a massively wide base of installed parts out there in the used market as well. So that will continue to be revolving for many, many years, I feel. Cav's trying out. What are you doing? Oh, I see. Sorry, Cav's got the cat there. Let me close this window down.
Guilty party.
There's Guilty Daisy, the little swine.
Isn't it, Daisy?
Stuart Cleary says, towards the cleaning bill after your cat had the shits.
And that was Daisy.
That was Daisy. Poor, it's, Daisy's getting really old now. She's like 16, 17.
15 this year.
She looks older.
Don't be mean.
She's 15 years old and she's basically losing bodily function control.
She isn't really.
And she's basically quite lazy as well.
There's cats.
Yeah, it's not very nice weather. Cats don't like going out. Daisy's not the most... I don't think she's quite got all of her marbles now, so she just
don't listen, Deeds.
goes to the toilet and she's passing a bit of blood every now and then as well. So obviously things aren't going entirely well for her. So we kind of have to just go with the flow, really. Her flow, mostly, on our floor. So she managed to ruin, well, not ruin, I suppose, but we've got a wooden fireplace around in our fireplace in the front room. And because it's on laminate floor, you've got a wooden base and then you've got the fire surrounding all that. And basically where she's had a wee, it's all kind of soaked up into the pine of the wood. And pine being a pale wood, it's now mostly a dark wood. And it's gradually kind of crawling up. And there's not really a great deal you can do to get that out of there. So probably have to replace the fireplace at some point, along with most of the flooring in that room as well. I've already done the hallway because that's been destroyed. And she started to destroy the new laminate flooring which has been put down. So yeah, it's one of those things you have to put up with if you have animals. They get to a certain age where things aren't as good as they were when they were fluffy little kittens. Anyway, moving on. Where else do we get to? Did I miss something? Yeah, so going back to AM4, I still am quite deep into AM4 territory. Kath's computer is still Welly Bob's old Ryzen 5 2600X. I'm desperately trying to get Kath to upgrade her computer. I said to her today, walking back up from getting some chips a little bit earlier, we really need to look at changing your PC. I said I'll jet wash it first before I sell it on to someone else. But we do need to do something with your PC because it's just getting really old. It still works and does everything she needs it to. So there's no real need to, but because of what we do here, the constant kind of rotation of stock, so to speak, would be really beneficial. But she's happy with it, it works, and yeah, what else can you say really? So AM4, I still feel, like George's computer upstairs, he's still got a B350 PC Mate, which was an early MSI board, the first iteration that came out on the Ryzen platform, which he's running now with a 2700X. And he's extremely happy with it. He wants to upgrade, but still it's carrying on. So those are, well, 2600, 2700, what's that now? 4 years old, 5 years old? I'm losing track of when it is. It must be about 4 years old. But it's still running well, so I still think that AM4 is going to have a long lifespan. And AM5 has got off to a pretty poor start, in my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments. I think AM5 is ridiculously overpriced for what it is, and it's basically over-engineered. It doesn't need to be as fast as it is. We've got all these new things. We've got so much intricate power management and all these chokes, VRMs. All of that power management on the motherboard costs money. But do we really need it? There's systems out there, obviously, which are still performing very well on a very basic 3-phase VRM with a A320 motherboards. And I'm sure there's people in the chat now. They've got like an old A320 M-H or something, one of those MSI board, one of those Asus boards. They're still going strong and doing what you need to do. If you're not overclocking, or if you're not having ridiculous demands on your system, then they're probably going to be fine for the foreseeable. So I don't think time is running out for AM4. I think AMD would like for AM4 to kind of make a graceful exit, but I don't think it will. Unless they start increasing prices of AM4 processors to a point where it makes no sense to buy one, in which case you have to upgrade. I think if they did that, I think that would be another death knell, because AMD have had a really rocky couple of weeks. Arguably a couple of months. Ever since AM5 launched, it's not gone well, stock is not selling, motherboards are ridiculously expensive, the processors are expensive for what they are in comparison with what is available. Then you've got the DDR5 mix on top of that as well. It's just not gone well. And then obviously the problems with their own graphics cards, which have basically launched and not been as fast or as good as they've marketed them as being, and they're ridiculously expensive. I think all of the kind of the goodwill that AMD have generated from AM4 is slowly being eroded away. My personal opinion. And actually, to back that up, just so I can actually put my money where my mouth is, if I can find it, where have I put it? I have something here which may shock some of you. It shocked me, that's for sure. Ow! Where did I put that thing? Where do I put the thing, Kath?
What thing?
I don't know. I can't say it until I show it. Come on. Oh, there it is on my desk. Ow. Pain.
Things usually have names.
They do, but I'm not saying it. So I have just purchased a 13th gen Intel 13400F on the LGA 1700 socket. And depending how fast it is when I get it up and running...
It's going to be a wig.
It's not a wig, no. It's not a wig. This may replace my video editing PC. It may replace my streaming PC. I've not entirely made my mind up yet. The motherboard I've got coming for this is the Asus B660 D4 Wi-Fi, Strix ROG whatever, which happens to have mostly a white aesthetic. So it would actually be pretty good in that PC behind me. So it may well end up as a streaming PC, but I feel that's a bit of a waste of the chip personally. I was watching my computer rendering the other night. Sad, I know, but we do it. And I was looking at the system resources whilst I'm actually rendering a video. Now, on my system, Ryzen 5 5800X and a RTX 3060 Ti, watching it render in H.265, 4K, 30 frames per second, at around about 40 megabits bitrate. And almost all the way through, the graphics card is pegged pretty much at 100%. And the CPU is around about 30 to 50%, depending where it is. And it's not until the very, very end, when it's finished rendering, that the M.2 drives get hammered. So it goes, normally they're about 0.1%, 0.2% all the way through, just Windows activity. And then all of a sudden, at the very end, when it's creating the file that it's exported, it jumps to 50 to 65%, and then it's basically done. It's a very small blip. So it does seem that M.2 drives don't make a great deal of difference in your system in terms of video editing. So they're pushing more and more for PCI Express Gen 5 and Gen 5 drives. And I saw actually CES, there's these new drives which will do, was it like 11 gigabits per second read and write from MSI, PCI Express Gen 5 drives, which are due out towards the end of the year. I don't know who really needs those. I genuinely don't. If it's not for video editors, it can't be for gamers. So who are they for? I don't know. Let me know. I have got no idea. Anyway, I am very much looking forward to testing out 13th gen Intel. This kind of isn't... It's 13th gen, but only in name. So it's kind of like an Alder Lake refresh. So they've got the new... Sorry, they've got the old performance cores from Alder Lake, but they've got the new efficiency cores from Raptor Lake. So it's kind of like a hybrid setup. And this one, the 13400's only got 4 efficiency cores, because the 13500 has got 8 of them. But I'm thinking, the efficiency cores, do I really need efficiency cores? Probably not. What difference do they make? I can't imagine they're going to make a huge difference. And then if you want to go up from a 6-core 12 thread up to 8 cores, 16 threads, or 20 threads I suppose it will be because of the efficiency cores, it's a massive jump in price, whereas this is about £200 here in the UK at the moment. It's only just launched as well. So yeah, I was intrigued to see what it would go like, especially seeing I was going to use DDR4 with it on that board, which Kieran is so gratefully sent us, which I've made a small donation towards him for. Not a great deal, but he was happy, I'm happy, life goes on. So yeah, I was considering I'm an AMD boy through and through, generally. It actually surprised me that I bought this. It wasn't something which was necessarily planned, but the board was cheap, so it was like, right, I might as well get a half-decent processor. I think the 13100, 4 cores, 8 threads is kind of almost a bit of a waste on a platform, a new platform these days, because of how expensive things are. So I think if you are going to build a system, you might as well go in at least at a kind of mid-range level, even though I suppose some people may still call this entry level in terms of what is on 13th gen. But at least I can upgrade it to a faster processor should I have the need to, which I don't think I need to really, but it's interesting to see what this new stuff is like. Hugh Luttrell says, I was watching a video from CS about modular cases. You could even build 2 computers in one case. Yeah, InWin did that. They've got that modular system where you can just buy the base and then add on bits on the top and on the front and stuff, which is kind of cool. Lewis says, I bought a 5-inch IPS at AliExpress. It's very cool. The brand has their own software and it is very easy to install. Only needs a one USB cable. Oh, that's cool. Maybe send me a link to that on our Discord or something. That'd be pretty cool. Zeno says, tie your feet high on a bar upside down, you'll be fine. If I could find a bar that would take my weight, I would.
My pole will. Pop your door, I'll teach you.
Rick H says, I'm still running socket 1155, still going strong. That was a great socket.
Can you answer William Bode's?
I have to fast forward a bit because I've missed stuff. James was with us. Hi, around just doing stuff. Go for it. William Bode.
He's got my name.
Alright.
I just can't type it.
O'Reilly's. Mike's gone to the dark side with Intel 13th Gen. Then I cancel my Patreon, so I'm joking. I honestly, I'm interested to see what it performs like. The theory is that this performs very similar to a 5800X non-3D version. So if I can get 5800X performance, I have this, and also have the benefits that I will get from an Intel processor in Adobe Premiere. It doesn't support QuickSync because this is the non-GPU version, so I'm not going to have QuickSync support. So I still will be relying on the NVIDIA graphics card, but in general, Intel does seem to do better single core, so some games are going to benefit, and obviously video editing. Adobe Premiere doesn't really see any real value of anything over about 4 to 6 cores. Anything more than that is just wasted on it. And I used to always think, oh, I'll get myself a 3900X, that'll make video editing much smoother. And it didn't. It didn't make it much smoother at all. And actually going down from a 3900X to a 5800, it was basically exactly the same in video editing performance. Very little in between it. So extra cores don't really make a great deal of difference in Premiere. They do if you're using After Effects, but in Premiere it doesn't. Or at least it doesn't seem to. There's 420 blazing from good old Glenn. How you doing, Glenn? Bless you, sir. Good old Glenn, he's working hard up there in the Highlands, that's the word I was looking for. Wow, my brain is completely gone. What were we going to ask Glenn for? Oh, Glenn, can you program or make forward keys for a 2005 Fiesta? That was the question I was going to have to ask you. I forgot all about it until just then. There was another question I had. David Untrail, Intel i5, you sad person. AMD rules okay. AMD does, but I wouldn't be doing my job unless I did every now and then dabble on the other side of the fence to see what the deal is. Like I said, I am pretty much an AMD fanboy, especially when it comes to AM4. I think they've done really well. But I don't think I can get involved with AM5 at the moment, because I think that's just too much. So this is the kind of the viable alternative, because you can use DDR4 with it. So for those of us that are on AM4 and thinking, well, what do we do now? We've got some nice cool RAM, nice systems. What do we do? And I think Intel are turning the corner. I really don't. I think they are. They have done a little bit of a naughty. So the 12th gen processors now, they've actually increased in price by about £10 across the board. So whereas the 13th gen CPUs were about £20 to £30 more expensive per like similar product, they've increased those a little bit more and dropped these a little bit. So they're basically 13th gen now is often cheaper than 12th gen, which is kind of weird. But bearing in mind this is a refresh of 12th gen effectively, especially for the lower end parts, then it sort of makes sense. It's a bit shady, but I suppose it's going to push people to go 13th gen. The downside of that is not all motherboards are going to be able to be BIOS flashed without an older processor. So that is where the fun will begin. Chris Hartford, are you going DDR5? No. Not for the foreseeable.
So William Bodie's up a bit more.
William Bodie.
Post strikes, they didn't make any difference to us really, did they?
Oh, there we go. Post strikes. No, I think the post strikes are all done and dusted now. I think we've got more railwork strikes, so the railway strikes are the thing now. I think the mail stuff is fine.
Never really affected you because Royal Mail's
No, it's been alright.
Christmas.
Dutch Jan says, lol, just bought a Z770 board. Hey, buy any, if you can pick it up cheap these days, go for it. Lucky Man says, end of the day, everyone will have to have top of the range M4 due to lower cost parts and second-hand market. Yeah, I think that will be a thing, definitely. David Underhill, M5 motherboards need a cheap option, definitely. I think they literally have shot themselves in the foot by not having a DDR4 version for AM5. I think the whole replacing the motherboard, the processor and the RAM all at the same time isn't really viable for a lot of people. Some people are like, motherboard and processor, yeah, I could probably just about squeeze that. But then the RAM as well, especially if you want to go for like 32 gigs rather than 16, it's a lot of money. It really is. Rick says, I'll be going 12th gen on Intel. It's good stuff. What did Matthew Day say? Oh, that was them talking about that. Omar Lajal. Sorry if I bastardised that pronunciation. Greetings from Algeria. How you doing? Welcome.
Actually, Flame, don't jump up.
Where are we? Well, Bill, even though I'm here, I'm but late. I was busy putting the rad back where it was. A bit of a schlep, hence me being here late. But watching from the start, so I'm about 51 minutes behind. You'll catch up. Put it on 2 times speed. You won't miss a lot. David says, lol, helping Mike rob his neighbour's car. No, it's George's car. His central lock-ins never worked very well. I tried programming the keys, I think the keys are knackered, so I need to get some new ones. Rick H, $20. Thank you, Rick. It says, for your socket 1700 motherboard, Thermaltake CPU contact frame. That is something actually that I have not considered, a contact frame. I might have to jump onto AliExpress, although I'm tempted just to do it without. I don't think I'm going to be generating that much heat from this. It's only a 65 watt part. And I think even under full load with all the cores and everything being brute force, I think the maximum this will get up to is about 153 watts, I seem to recall. So like, yeah, normal TDP 65 watts, it should not see more than 160. Thank you, Rick. Where did I get to? Oh, there we go. Roderick Kennedy, hi all, hope all are well. Not too bad. My back's hanging, my throat's starting to go. Other than that, I'm good. Glenn says, yeah, proper gone in 60 seconds style. Yeah, I'll get my ultraviolet light out as well. William Bodie, thanks Monday, I'll send a care pack. Oh God, thank you. William's care packs are awesome. There's normally a very eclectic selection of items in there. Stuart Cleary says, Sony declares the PlayStation 5 shortage to be over.
Funny how these things are over and how they mess up people's Christmases.
Yeah, it's true. James Messinia says, I like the idea of CTE form factor Thermaltake sampled at CES. I don't know. I'm very much, you know me, I like Thermaltake stuff, but I will happily say things when I think they may be going in the wrong direction. The CTE kind of whole form factor, especially the 750 cases, they are massive. Literally massive. Like, I thought that case is big. And that dwarfs in comparison with the 750, the CT 750, which can do a 420 rad on the top, the front, the bottom, and the back. And it's a dual chamber design. So you've got a 420mm wide radiator, then you've got another bit on the back to hold your power supply and all that other stuff. So it's going to be like at least, well, 11 to 12 inches wide. And at least, well, if it's got a 420 radiator on all sides, so 420 mils in inches is, someone help me out. No, I've got no idea. I can't think. But it's going to be big. It's got to be at least getting close to 23, 24 inches, I would say, nearly 2 foot. In height and length. That's freaking massive. Like that thing I think is, what, 20 inches, give or take. So yeah, 16 to there, so it's about another 4. Yeah, so that's 20 inches, and that's massive. So add on another 4 inches in every dimension, front, side, top and bottom, it's going to be freaking huge. Anyway. But it'll be interesting to see what it comes out like, actually. Yeah, it's an interesting, James, I would say, it's definitely an interesting idea. I think the smaller cases would be quite beneficial. Although I'm really, really not a fan of the inverted ATX. The rotated motherboards in a case, I don't know what it is, there's just something about it which just doesn't do anything for me. And if that's the way they've got to do it to get that layout, I'm not overly keen. There's a Gary Sitaka, I always get it wrong. $10, thank you very much, to offset your cost on the computer you repaired for the lady. Oh, you didn't have to do that. She actually did offer me some money at the end, so I think we got like 20 quid or something for mending it, which was more than was necessary, but She basically threw the money on, well, the son picked up and kind of just passed the money out. He had no choice, so.
But you didn't want to
It
go
was
back
very
without giving it.
Yeah. Gone in 60 seconds. There's me and Kath.
That's not me.
It is? No, it's not. Who is it? It's, what's her name, isn't it? Brad Pitt's ex. Julie.
It's Handler.
I was trying to work out how to call Kath Angelina Jolie, but using Kath or Churchill in it, you just can't. No, I give up. Thank you for the super chat, Gary. James says, they are wider, but looks like one model slapped the PSU on top. There was, I think it was it the Micro ATX or the ITX that had the power supply on the top? I saw they had a big long range of them. I did look quite closely at it because with Thermaltake, stuff that they're doing, the rep for the UK is excellent. He looks after us really well. And if I said to him, could I take a look at something, he would be like, yeah, no worries, I'll get one over to you. So I'm kind of interested, but I'm not at the same time. I'm just not really liking that whole rotated ATX thing. It's a real shame. David Andrew says the new Lian Li case can take a 560mm rad. That's mental, isn't it? That really is. Dutch Jan says 420 is in millimeters, not inches. Yeah, I know. So was 30, roughly 30 mil to an inch. So 420 divided by 3 is 140, so 14 inches. Then you got the extra bit above the radiator, so it's another inch or two. It's going to have to be at least 19, 20 inches. It's got to be the same size as that or bigger. It looked bigger. It did look bigger. But if you've got the room on your desk, then what the hell, go for it. David Williams says, looks like the H760 boards are releasing now. Just pre-ordered the ROG H760i for the i5 13500, sorry. Lose my brain. Not Caxon. I built a PC yesterday, and thanks to your video I managed to update my motherboard's BIOS, so thanks for the help. Test the PC today and managed to install Windows, and it all works perfectly fine. Awesome stuff.
I'm a coconut. A bit.
I'm a coconut.
We can see that.
Hi Mike, Kath and chat, hope you're well. I've got a 4070 Ti, which everyone is hating on yesterday. I don't know if you'd be interested in hearing my experiences and why they're not as bad as people say. Yeah, certainly, of course I would. Yeah, I'd love to hear about it.
That's it.
I would say that the 4070 Ti isn't a bad card. It's just at a bad price. It's like all products. There isn't really a bad product. It's just making sure that the price scales well with it. And I think that everyone's just on that same thing at the moment where they're pissed off at Nvidia because they've made stuff so expensive when traditionally certain level cards are at certain level prices. Now, we got pissed off when the pandemic kicked in and lockdowns and all that, and graphics cards went massively crazy in pricing. And we're like, oh God, it's all right, it'll be over soon. And then they started dropping, and then Nvidia come out with even more expensive graphics cards. And it's like, just when you think that something's about to end, it carries on. So the nightmare doesn't ever end, it just carries on and carries on. I think that's why people are getting pissed off with it. Also, I suppose the fact that its performance levels in some games isn't quite as good as the 3090 Ti, which can be had for kind of similar-ish money in some areas, depending where you're shopping. It just means it's like a stagnant thing. So the performance, although the wattage has come down, so it's basically I think it's what, 280 watts? No, 285 watts I think it is. Whereas to get the same performance out of a 3090 Ti, you're looking at closer to, what was it, 450 or something, or 380 or something a lot more anyway. So it can basically, if a 4070 Ti to me seems like a 3090 Ti, but cut down, which is why it's kind of, it doesn't seem like there's been that much improvement. Having said that, I would like one, but not for the current money, I don't think. William Bodie, gone in 60 seconds with an old man's back. Yeah, it's not going to happen, is it? It's like my hair, gone in 60 seconds. Get the old skull shaver out, gone. I should do that. I should do a parody of Gone in 60 Seconds with the hair, with the shaver, shouldn't I? Today's video is brought to you by Skull Shaver and Gone in 60 Seconds. Oh, I'm a Coconut says, GPU Z says the 4070 Ti was using bang on 285 watts. 300 watts or less is okay in my book. Yeah.
If you go up a little bit, I 100% agree with Mike. I'm a Coconut still.
Oh yeah. I understand agree, Mike. It's badly priced. Yes, I'm getting 120 FPS in 4K in Wolfenstein Youngblood. Max settings, RTX on, no DLSS. At 950 quid for the card though, it's expensive. Yeah. If it gets to the point where I'm getting closer and closer to the end of the tax year and I've got to spend some money, I might get one. If only just to fill a gap in that case. Joe says, FYI, 25.4001 is the dividing factor when calculating mil to inches, Mike. That is probably why nothing in my house fits. Because I've, yeah, that's 12 inches, so times that by 30, that's fine. Why is this massive? AD Mods says the CTE cases cool really well. I would hope they would, because if you've got 3.5 sides with airflow, if you didn't cool very well, you'd be doing something very, very wrong. Not Caxton, the 4070 Ti costs more than my whole PC, not going to lie. I think most people are in the same boat, to be honest with you. I think even if I priced up...
It costs more than our car.
It costs more than our car, yeah.
Not this car, but previous cars.
Wenny Bob says, we're doomed if Mike spends 950 quid just on a GPU. Doomed, I say doomed. I went to bed, this is the thing, I went to bed with this going through my head last night. I was thinking, I was watching my video render, and it took about 8 minutes to render a 30-minute clip. So it's pretty quick anyway, it's faster than real time. But I was thinking, if I spent that much money, how many minutes would it take me to render this same piece of footage? Would it be like half the time? 4 minutes?
But
Is that 4 minutes worth it for spending that sort of money? And to be honest with you, it's probably not. But having said that, when you have video renders that fail, and you've had to go through the entire 15 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever it is for your video to render, and then it goes wrong, and you have to do it again, you would probably pay for the privilege of having a much faster GPU to get to that point to have to fail and then start again. Because once you have 2 renders fail, and that's like half an hour to an hour's worth of your time done.
But it's not your time really, is it?
Time is money, isn't it?
You just set it to render and you can walk off and do what you like. And that's when you should get up
Yeah.
and stretch your back.
Alright, I've been told. We'll stop with that.
That's when you should go out, make me a coffee and stretch your back.
Ugly Bob says, I see J Stu Pence has been doing more budget orientated videos for the common folk. He's jumping on the bandwagon. I think so. I think he might be. Oh, of course, add mods. I forgot add mods. I forgot altogether. Add mods. I sent you the best ATX 3 PCIe PSU on the market, and you betrayed me with a Sonic. This was the budget one. I did consider a Thermaltake Tough Power. Is it BM 500, which was very similar price. That was from Scan as well. But I thought, well, I've never tried a Seasonic, so I'll give it a go. Actually, I'm going to have to look at that now. Let me open my my screen up here. Let's open up another window. Thermaltake Tough Power. What's that?
Daisy's falling off the shoe rack.
Daisy, stop falling off things.
You know, Dave?
Is it BM 500? Thermaltake Power Supplies. GF, no. What's the bronze Tough Powers? Tough Power 500. I'm sure it was a 500. Right, it's a GX1. Come on, lads. Let me know, which one is it? What's it called? Thermaltake Tough Power. I'm sure there's a bronze version of the Tough Power. BM2, thank you. Tough Power BM2. 500 watt. Ah, there we go. Oh, typical's bloody cheaper now. Yeah, Thermaltake Smart BM2, and that's a 450. That's probably why I didn't go with it actually, because 450 is a little bit too little for what I wanted. Well, it probably would have been okay. But that is, I think that's going to be one of the next ones we take a look at on the channel, especially for the budget builds. I think that I like the Thermaltake power supplies. I do like the look of them and the feel, and also the build quality is excellent. And actually, we should take a look at that before we go too much further, because I'll just waffle on all night otherwise.
See Daisy. Oops.
There's Daisy.
Poppy, oh. See Daisy.
Oh God.
Oh, you're a Daisy.
Right, I'll have a tea break then.
Oh, you're a Daisy. Twins, aren't you?
Thank you, Dave Aiken, for £2. Mike's 4070 Ti fund. Come on, people. Yeah, we've only got another £948 to go. Give generously. We're also going to be collecting funds for the church roof. So give generously. It's always the church roof, isn't it? Why does church?
Never see a church get it.
Why do churches always need a new roof, and why do you never see church roofs with scaffolding on?
Ever.
Just asking.
We thought it up the other night.
I tell you, it's a freaking conspiracy. Those damn churches. Oh, there's Ugly Bob coming with £2 for the 4070 Ti fund doing my small bit.
Oops, sorry, Dave.
Thank you. Actually, I should ask, seeing that Add Mods is in the chat, what do you think of the PC? Is it too big? Is it too big for that shelf? I still can't get my... I am going to have to lower the shelf, I think. Or put a table there. I have wanted to put a table here for so long. But I know it's not going to be easy. I do love that case. I want it to be smaller. I like it. If I put it in the wash, will it shrink? I doubt it.
James Miscellaneous.
Carlo says, looks much better than the old one. Thank you.
James Miscellaneous. Ugly Bob, what's Pangland?
Pangland. Pangland is basically where Poor people shop. It's,
Poundland is where everything used to cost a pound.
yeah, everything in there, everything in Poundland used to cost £1.
So we'd go around going, how much is this? How much is that?
Yeah, excuse me, can you tell me how much this is? It's £1. Thank you.
How much is this?
Yeah. How much is this one? It's £1.
But now,
Really?
the last
Cool.
laugh is on there because they don't sell it for £1.
Oh dear. Willie Bob says, new case fits fine, leave it be. Haters of white cases are arsehole. I don't think it's... I think if it was black, it would look bigger. There's definitely some double entendre in there somewhere. But I think the white kind of, because there's other white bits here, I think it kind of blends in a little bit more so it doesn't look quite as imposing. I think if I'd have chosen the black one, I think that would have been a mistake, personally.
Do you think Poundland, Dave Aiken says nothing costs a pound in Poundland anymore. Do you think?
Some things do, but not many.
But do you think? Yeah, but surely that's against trade's description to call your company that and then charge a different amount.
Well, not really.
But also, do you think they sell actual real-sized products now? Because before they used to sell smaller ones, didn't they?
Possibly.
Get away with thinking you were getting it cheaper. We did. I saw it on TV.
Admod says, white makes a cleaner build and the white case looks smaller.
Joe?
Okay. Joe. I think you need a hologram of your head in the glass panel, Mike. It would be perfect. I'll see if I can get it laser etched in there. Just me going. Just etched on the side.
Oh,
That'd be awesome.
With thug-like glasses.
Yeah, Thug Life glasses and spliff hanging out. That'd be great. Right. Let's have a look at this power supply because this thing is ridiculous. It is so small. So this is the Thermaltake Tough Power SFX 850 watt fully modular gold rated power supply, ATX 3.0, smart zero fan. Doesn't mean it hasn't got a fan. Poppy, get your head out away, please. Come on. Always got to have the last laugh of your tail, haven't you? 100% Japanese capacitors and 7-year warranty. Smart zero fan, like I said, it has actually got a fan, but it's very smart and doesn't spin if it doesn't have to. Something which is very nice, which I like a lot, is the fact that it comes with a SFX to ATX adapter. So if you want to put it into an ATX PC, which you might want to do, you have got that option. There is an absolute load of cables, but the highlight is, this is ridiculous. There is the power supply itself. How cute is that? That is mental. It's smaller, I think, than a processor box almost. It's about the same size. There's very little in it. So it is the same size as an Intel processor box, give or take a millimetre or two. Although, don't take my word for it because we know what I'm like with millimetres and inches. But look at it, it's just ridiculous. That is mental. Absolutely mental. But what is even more mental, it's still got the 12 volt HP power adapter on there. Along with, how many pieces?
PCIe
1, 2,
5
3.
as well, if that helps.
Yeah. There's 3 8-pin plugs. So if you wanted to use a non-NVIDIA graphics card, you've still got 3 8-pins. You've also got 3 SATA or peripheral plugs. That's just mental. How do they make it so small?
189.98.
It just smells of, it is off-gassing something rotten actually. Smell that.
I do know.
Chemicals, ladies and gentlemen, not good for you. Apparently it says warranty void if removed, so in the review there's a very strong chance I won't be taking this apart. But that is just... Oh. If you'd have said 10 years ago that you would get an SFX power supply which would be 850 watts, wouldn't set fire to your house and would be that small, people would think you're crazy. Power plug. Good. I want to see how long these cables are.
Can I interrupt? Michael K
Okay, I will shortly. I'll have to do some camera magic. So licorice style cables. Not sure what gauge cable that is. Is that 12? Adam probably be best for that. Is that 12 gauge cabling? It looks like it might be 12. The CPU one looks like it probably is. It's the trouble, they don't often print it on here now, so you can't really tell. Anyway, CPU connector, important. SATA, not so important. What's that? Is that another CPU? I know.
PCIe 5 and ATX
PCIe
3.0 new standard.
Is that from Adam?
Yeah.
PCI, it's got everything on here, hasn't it? It really has. Is that another, what's that, CPU? Not sure what that is actually. Oh yeah, that's a CPU. So you got two CPU connectors, a HP 12 volt, high power 12 volt. Those are very cool. I kind of want to get a 4070 Ti just so I can use my HP source on it, yeah, my 12 volt HP power. Those are cool cables. Now for anyone who's wondering, these cables don't fit on older graphics cards. So if you've got like a 3060 Ti or 3080, etc., they don't physically fit because the extra 4 pins. I thought they might do, but on my particular card they don't.
15 gauge.
Which was a shame. It's 15 gauge, is it? Ah, thank you.
We do that one in...
What did I say? It was 12, 16.
750,
way out.
850 and 1000 watt.
That's just madness.
Can you say it?
Absolutely, yes. So those are available in 750, 850 and 1000 watt. 1000 watt and a thing that small. Now actually that... So do Thermaltake do any cases in the SFX range which you can use these in? Other than, I guess, the Tower 100, I suppose you could.
All ATX 3.0 cables are 15 gauge.
Ah, excellent. Thank you very much for that. David Aitken says, fun fact, the 3090 Ti had the new connector, but the additional 4 pins were redundant. Interesting.
James is off.
James, I want to clean my stove. Since JB and Aletta aren't here, I'm leaving Aitken and Skystalker in charge. Thank you.
Where is Alexa? She was here earlier, wasn't she?
Aletta's, mate. She was jamming. So, anyway, that is just a bizarre power supply. I'll be doing a video on it anyway, as I generally do. I don't really have any ways of testing these things other than just going through the motions and showing you guys what you actually get and my opinions on them. Hopefully that's enough for you to kind of gauge some kind of level of interest, or if you're maybe on the fence and you're not too sure. I don't know. Hopefully it helps. I wish I could do more, but I don't have the necessary tools like a power supply tester of sorts. And besides, that's what Linus and all those others, that's why they get paid lots of money to do these things. So we don't have to. And then after, I can just copy and paste that information into my videos. Thank you, Linus, and the others. Gamers Nexus, I guess. So anyway, very, very cool.
Tower 100.
So Tower 100, yeah, I thought it would be. So low ripple, extremely strict voltage regulation, which has less than 2% deviation across the entire range. That is good. So let's see if there's any other key things in here.
David Underhill.
And actually the voltage on here is, it's 70.8 amps on the 12 volt rail, which is actually as close to 850 watts as you could possibly get. It's 849.6 watts. So it's only 0.4 watts out from being bang on 850. Something which can't be said for Seasonic and Corsair for some bizarre reason. They seem to be doing that old thing that companies used to do years ago, where they put a label on their power supply which is actually more than what they actually are on the 12 volt rail. But I suppose it is what it is. Anyway, we'll be taking a much closer look at that in an in-depth video. And, oh God, I'm on my wire now. Oh, I'm gonna kill my back. There we go. Linus money tip, you mean? Skystalker, when are you doing the next Fix It segment on the channel? Funnily enough, actually, the PC we did on Fix or Flop episode 2, the guy's mum, she's got a laptop, an old laptop, which she's been struggling with, which I basically said I'll fix it, I'll sort it out for her. So she's got a laptop, and I said all I need is a laptop, power supply, and any password, so I can just get into it. So she said, as soon as I find the password and the power supply, I will drop it round for you to take a look at. So there's going to be a laptop, hopefully, on the next Fix or Fail. We'll see how that goes. I think it's going to be a slightly older laptop, but it'd be interesting to see if we can increase the performance on it to make it a bit more usable. Might end up in there, putting a new SSD in there, probably doubling up the RAM. So that'd be one we can get our teeth into a little bit and tweak it and really try and squeeze a bit more power out of it, which would be awesome.
David Underhill?
David Underhill, David Underhill. I am adding content to one of my websites, myname.au. Alright, so go to davidunderhill.au. There you go.
And if anyone else in Bristol.
Yeah, if there's anyone watching and you're in Bristol and you've got a PC which needs either a bit of attention, TLC, clean up, it doesn't work, it's broken, caught on fire, please do get in touch. Right, another thing which this is actually going to be a very new thing for us here on the channel. So this is come from Ugly Bob, bless his heart. Oh, sorry, comment is gone. That is something, that is why I want a touchscreen monitor. I'm going to set one up on my desk, so then I can just click on clear and have it here. I can just click on things. But I need to run a cable underneath the desk, under, and then back up to the PC. I'm sure I can do it.
No, I don't. You know, every time you drag those boxes.
Because that would be cool, wouldn't it? Ladies and gentlemen, wouldn't that be cool for me, personally? So I can have my little fold-out monitor. The cables are in the right side as well. So I can have that there. Run the cables underneath the side of the desk, like that. And then when I'm answering questions, I just click on this touchscreen there and say, oh yeah, there's a question, answer it, clear. That would be awesome. That has always been my intention. Whether or not I'll be able to see the screen, that's another one. I have been keeping an eye actually I've been looking out for ages for a 15.6 inch touchscreen compatible portable monitor. So I can do the same thing, but it'd be a bit bigger. But they are still ridiculously expensive. They did go down to like a pretty reasonable price, but they're now just insanely expensive. So anyway, let me do that. Sky says, I've never seen a segment like that using a laptop. That is new. Well, it will be as well, because we'll take it apart and hopefully not damage it, which I'm not guaranteeing that I won't do, but if I do, then that lady's going to end up with a new laptop. So that would be definitely a fix or fail. Oh, come on, get back in there. I've still got a dirty spatula.
Man who don't clean spatula, very unhygienic.
Man who does not clean spatula, him not going to smell nice. Right. Yes, anyway, Ugly Bob sent this in for us. This is for the Assassin X120R SE White. I don't think they could have made the name any longer, but no doubt they'll try. So I've never actually reviewed a Thermaltake cooler on the channel, I think. I'm pretty sure I've never seen Thermaltake. I don't know anything about them, but a lot of people rave about the Thermaltake Assassin, and I think they're
You're going to have so much trouble filming that. Thermaltake white.
Yeah, I know.
Say that again.
Thermaltake white. Yeah, that is gonna. I'm gonna struggle with that one. Anyway, so this is a relatively low form factor cooler at only 148 millimeters in height. It's got Generation 4 heat pipes. Hopefully they're better than AMD's current ones. It's also suitable for Intel LGA 1700 socket support, which, ironically, that's pretty good timing. 4 heat pipes, Eclipse RGB effect. Whoa. Hang on, what's this Eclipse RGB effect nonsense? Is this addressable? Yeah, light import, 5 volt, 3 pin addressable RGB. I was concerned now. It has got a fluid dynamic bearing. Wow. Unlock your chill force here. Can you actually see that? It does actually say unlock your chill force here. Wow.
Dirty Spatula Boy sounds like a song from way back.
I was expecting to be more whelmed than this. I'm slightly underwhelmed. So Assassin X120 refined SE RGB white. Paperwork, blah blah blah. Ooh.
Adam to...
Addressable RGB fan. Oh, I thought it didn't have a PWM on it then for a minute. So all white PWM fans.
Oh, there. CTE has finished development. Tooling is made and are now in production at our factory.
Ooh.
Do you know what that means?
Yeah, there we go. So for those of you that were interested, James Miscellaneous in particular.
He's gone.
So if you're re-watching this later on, AdMods, who is in our chat, is actually, well, basically someone from Thermaltake, without saying too much. And there you go, from the horse's mouth. So the CTE is tooled and ready and is in production. So there we go. I'm interested, but I'm not. I feel they're too big for what they are, and I don't like 1 or 90-degree rotations on motherboards. I think it looks really weird. It's not natural, and it should be put out with fire. But having said that, if they come out, I'm certainly gonna be happy to have a look at them and let you guys make up your minds, because it isn't about what I think about it. I might love a case, I might hate a case, but my job is to show you guys what it's all about, whether I like it or not. My experience might help you make a buying decision, but you shouldn't base your buying decision on what I say. Always check other reviews, and at the end of the day, make up your own goddamn mind.
Yours are ordered and reserved for you, Mike. Arranged last week.
Oh God. Oh, thanks, Adam. Make sure they're small ones, please. Preferably, yeah, ones that can fit there. And I don't have to get another table out to film stuff. Having said that, Panasonic Lumix have just released their new Lumix S5 II. And they've also done a version with a new kit lens, which is a wider kit lens. So I can have the camera in the same position, but have a significantly wider shot. So things could be good. Although that is going to cost me about 2,500 quid. Which I'm not happy about.
Matthew Day, nothing is as weird as the frame and fabric covered case. Alice.
The Inwin Alice, no, that was some weird shit, that was. I liked it. It was an unusual thing. Yeah, that was kind of bizarre. It worked out okay though. It was alright. And weirdly, it had some quite good airflow. I'm not entirely sure how that happened, but it did. Anyway, let's take a look at this cooler. So look, this come from Ugly Bob, bless his heart. Bob does that, he gets drunk and then he starts buying stuff. And then it ends up on my doorstep. And that's cool. So they've color-coded the parts for the individual sockets. So AM4 and AM5 are in the pink. LGA 1700 is in the blue for Intel, cute. And LGA 115X and 1200 are black because they're dead. that's my thoughts on it. Obviously not reality. You can see what they've done here. So you've got two back plates, one for LGA 1700 because it's physically wider, and you've got one for LGA 115X and 1200 because it's, well, slightly smaller. Good catch and recovery. So those go on the back, and then on the front, only two brackets. That is good. I was kind of expecting to see more stuff actually. That's cool. So how does the AM5 work then? I'm gonna have to look at the manual for that. So yeah, nice, easy to work with brackets. Just two of them, and then you've got thumb screw twist downs there, which is good. And there's one in the middle as well.
Mike,
nice little heatsink.
Mike, are you as good at remembering names as you are at remembering numbers?
No.
Oh no. Every video starts about 6 times.
You should. There was one video I was doing the other day, and I could not say what video was it? And I said it like 4 times, and I just could not say it. Me and Kath were just pissing ourselves because I just could not get numbers right.
And then
Sometimes
you got it all right, and then you got some word at the end wrong.
Yeah. I think it was.
Was it Wismax?
No, is that Asus ROG Strix Z590 ROG Strix gaming nutter thing? I think it was that anyway. Oh, it was, yeah. It was about PCI Express, isn't it, we were talking about? No, Thunderbolt. I cannot say port and Thunderbolt before. So if I try and say Thunderbolt port, oh, I did it. Awesome. I couldn't, there is a Thunderbolt port. No, I said here on the board is a TB port. So that is for Thunderbolt if you want to add a Thunderbolt port to your PC. That was hard then. And I just could not do it. It just would not come out. And I did it about 4 or 5 times, and eventually I got to the point where I edited it, so I just said, this is your Thunderbolt port. That's it. So, yeah. Anyway, I digress.
David Underhill's done a link to your unboxing channel to his site.
Oh, thank you. Awesome. Hello, Neil Walker. Hello, Gers 1987.
Freedom House as well.
And Freedom House. Welcome to the chat. Hopefully you're all having a great new year. So anyway, back to this. So 4 6mm heat pipes. Usual kind of deal. That's quite a dense fin stack in there.
Is that going to go in your new case?
I don't know. I don't think so. Possibly. Doubt it though. It's more likely to go in the whiz bang. So yeah, nice design. All whited out. Thermaltake logo in there. Yeah, that's pretty cool. And the obligatory pain in the ass clips on the side. Let's see how much of a pain in the ass they are actually. It's actually quite a small fin stack as well. So when you're actually putting the fan on, you can kind of line it up a little bit easier. So if you've got a slightly more compact case, this is actually going to be pretty decent. And they do this in black and they also do it in white.
Ugly Bob was so drunk he was glad he got it in white. He impressed himself.
Yep, that's lined up. So yeah, that's pretty nice. And from what I am told and reliably informed, that Thermaltake CPU coolers in general are actually pretty decent. And it seems that from what I can gather from looking at this, depending where you buy it from, you can actually pick them up pretty cheaply. So I guess there is always that thing with 120mm tower coolers where there's some brands which are going to be like ridiculously expensive. So for instance, ow, that hurt. So something like this, Noctua's NHU12S is going to be sort of 50-60 quid. Whereas this, I think, is somewhere in the region of about 20. So this isn't going to be 3 times better than that. There's no way on God's green earth that is going to be a thing. I would say if I had to hazard a guess, I would imagine this is going to be ever so slightly noisier. But on the flip side of that, it's probably going to be less than maybe 2 to 3 degrees warmer than that. And this is 60 quid. This is about, I think, did Bob put in the chat how much it cost?
Don't think so.
I'm pretty sure it's going to be somewhere in the region of about 25 quid, 20 to 25 quid. If you get it from AliExpress, there's a strong possibility it's going to be kind of under 20 quid posted. In fact, actually, let's have a quick look. I will have a quick shifty and see what the deal is there. So, Thermaltake Assassin.
26 posted.
26 posted there. I wasn't far off, was I?
Shady.
Shady?
It's question.
Oh, Slim Shady. Shady. Mike, do you think NVIDIA have lost the plot with their pricing of the 4000 series? I don't think they've lost the plot. I think they're just... The thing is, we all need to get into our minds here that AMD and NVIDIA, the majority shareholders in both companies, are the same people. So, as shareholders, all they want to do is just keep on making more money. They don't care about one company losing face against the other, because if everybody jumps ship from NVIDIA to AMD, the same shareholders get loads of money. And if everyone goes from AMD to NVIDIA, the same shareholders still get all the money.
Same with Coca-Cola.
So it doesn't matter which one of those companies you throw your money at, it's the same people getting rich. So don't for a single minute think that NVIDIA is the good guy or the bad guy, or AMD is the good guy or the bad guy, because they're owned by the same people. They literally are owned by the same people. So you might be a fan of Lisa Su, you may be a fan of Jensen, does not matter. It's the same person getting rich.
Is Ugly Bob going to picture the other one in the shoes now?
Yeah.
Slim Shady is the David Underhill's cat's name.
Ugly Bob's like, huh? Lisa Su? Yeah. There's basically, if you look at it, there's about 5 companies which own all of the tech industry, the car industry, the retail industry,
Media.
Amazon, Intel, Microsoft. Every single one of them, the majority stakeholders in them are BlackRock, State Street, FRM, Vanguard,
I thought FMR.
JPM Morgan, and there's maybe 1 or 2 other ones on the periphery. But those 5 companies basically own everything in the world. Literally everything. Your favourite football team, your favourite drink, your favourite online store, your favourite PC brand, your favourite clothing company. They own them all. So it doesn't matter what you buy, who you buy, what you like. They're all owned by the same people.
Grow your own food.
Yeah. I actually saw this. There was somebody on Facebook the other day saying, actually it was about, there's somebody in the UK, some of you may know of, she used to do Countdown, and what's her name? Carol Vorderman. And she came out saying that Rishi Sunak shouldn't be hiding away. She's basically a Labour supporter. And in our country, there's kind of like a 50-50 split between Conservatives and Labour, very much like America, where you've got Republicans and Democrats, I think then. So it's basically the same everywhere. And there's someone who's saying, oh, it's good that someone in the media is standing up and calling this out. It's like, but it makes no difference. Because the politicians are also owned by the same people, because they're the ones that are putting the money in the pot to pay for all this stuff. So it's like, it doesn't matter if you like Labour or you like Conservative, or it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which one you vote for. Because ultimately, it's the same people at the top with all the money, the banks and the venture capitalists, which pay for it all anyway, or own it all. So you can do what you like. It doesn't make any difference at all, in the slightest. Anyway. David Aiken says they don't own Bristol Rovers, nobody wants them. You're probably very, very right there. Yes. I went to a Bristol Rovers match once. Never again. Something I noticed actually, Thermaltake actually include their own TF4 paste as well, which looks very premium and very brown looking, as if they maybe have taken a leaf out of some other company's book. Very, very interesting. Anyway. Yeah, I'm interested to see what this looks like. In fact, we could actually fire this up to see what it looks like, because we do have a power supply on hand. And I think I've got a power cable down there, so let's fire this bad boy up.
The letter has it on good authority that America has the best politicians that money can buy.
That is absolutely true. Yeah. Whereas in the UK, we've got the worst politicians that money can buy. Ugly Bob says, that's not thermal paste, that's chocolate ice magic. Get some on ice cream. Oh, don't I could do with some ice cream.
Have you got any?
Yeah.
You liked it all, didn't you?
No. Go and get the ice cream out of the fridge. I've got the coolest... I'm going to eat it. We've got the coolest ice cream ever.
Last one.
It is
Right,
Bakewell tart. Is it Bakewell? It is Bakewell tart, isn't it? I had to think then. Yeah, it's Bakewell tart flavoured ice cream. How good is that? Now, Adam LZ, if this blows up on stream, you do realise that it's on you. And apparently we're not allowed to say bang or anything like that these days on YouTube videos. Because
unmonetized now.
Yeah, unmonetized.
Oh dear.
I think they call it demonetized, Kath.
Oh.
Unmonetized.
I don't like to be.
Where have you come from?
I was trying to look.
Where'd you draggy up from? Right, let's have a look, see what this bad boy. A Paul Bakewell tart.
Flavoured ice cream.
I didn't want a spoon. I was just going to show them. I didn't want to eat it.
Oh, I thought you were going to do a Graham.
From the cooperative, so it's clearly not going to have any dodgy stuff in it, allegedly. Cherry Bakewell ice cream. There you go. Look at that. Raspberry Ripple and Bakewell flavoured almond ice cream and little bits of pastry on the top.
Graham says your ice cream is
Bad.
so cool, it's frozen.
It is so cool, it is actually frozen. I need a power supply. And I need a little power supply jumper. Thermaltake, please can you start installing or supplying power supply jumpers in your power supplies, because they are quite handy. Although if it adds to the price, don't.
Lewis will trade you their Portuguese politicians.
Okay. I can't understand the word or say, so.
Shady, that's me off the co-op in the morning. £1.50 on it.
£1.50 reduced at the moment.
Yeah, at the moment it's not gone off £1.50.
Where's the bloody jumper gone now?
It's full over, but thanks for noticing.
It's on the... Oh, I'm not going to get down there and get it, am I?
Oh, do you want me to get it?
I don't even know if it's down there.
You just want it down there, don't you?
Go on, get down there.
That's the sort of banging you're not allowed to do on YouTube.
Yeah. Where's that gone? It normally lives in there.
Oh, Poppy Dora's taken it out in the back lane.
Poppy Dora.
She's got on with it now.
I've plugged it in somewhere. Unbelievable. Ow, I'll soldier on. Fortunately, I have a spare. Right, these are very cool things to be, if you want to fire up stuff just to make sure that it works. If you buy some sort of case and you want to fire up the fans and all that, make sure everything works before you get it. There's going to be a lot of people out there, and I know this does happen, where you're going to buy a case before your motherboard, your processor and all that other stuff turns up. So sometimes you want to test it just to make sure it works so you don't have to return it, because some companies have like pretty shady returns policies. So if you don't return it in like the first 7 days or something, they get all RC and say, oh, you've had it too long, or you've got to pay for shipping, that sort of stuff. So this is, God, my eyesight. This is a cool way of firing up stuff. Just put a little jumper on the end of your power supply. You can just use a paper clip, as long as you get the right pins. But those jumpers cost like pence.
With Mike's eyes.
Yeah, with my eyes. My eyes! Right, peripherals. Let's plug this in. And let's get my fan controller. which is somewhere. Where's that gone? There we are. And let's have some PWM control. Let's see how loud it is. Do excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. My throat is very scratchy today. Where is the power cable? This is where I've got to try not to touch my HDMI lead. Considering Elgato are basically like the premier, what's it called, of, you know...
Bang!
Wow, that is actually on. It's not going to go bang, Cav, because it's a Thermaltake one from Thermaltake.
But that's from AliExpress, what you're plugging it into.
I've not plugged it in yet. Did I mention Thermaltake? Oh, to be a shield.
Bang!
Would you stop that? You're not allowed to say bang.
Why not?
Because terrorists. Shit. Not allowed to say terrorist or shit.
Fallout 76 is free in the PlayStation Store now, William says. Change subject.
There we go, the fan's on. That's on full blast. That's actually pretty quiet, considering that's on full blast.
J's.
Right, that's on 100%, so let's do 0%. So it doesn't have zero fan technology, but it's pretty bloody close. So that's down to like, I don't know, 100 RPM if you're lucky. And let's do 50%. So at 50%, there's basically just a whisper going through there.
Oh my god, look at that spider behind you. Going on the wall.
There isn't one. I can see in the reflection on there. Right.
Tried.
So fan-wise,
Do you JBs?
JB's. I can't see where's JB's.
Near bottom.
Oh, JB's Arcade. I heard AliExpress doing a special offer on cheap Chinese power supplies at the moment. Order Kang. Order code El Bango. There's some things that I would buy from AliExpress and there's some things that I wouldn't. A graphics card is probably one of the things I wouldn't again. Because once bitten, twice shy. Although, if they come down to a decent price again, I'm
Where's the lights? That's what you're doing now, isn't it?
just about to do the lights. This has got a fan controller built into it, but I wanted to use the Noctua one because it's got much better granular control, whereas the Game Max one is a little bit on the loud side. Excuse me.
Bang! You did jump, didn't you?
You're not allowed. I didn't jump. It's just your voice reverberating on the camera. There's the lights.
Sorry, Flamey.
I don't think they're quite as nice as Thermaltake lights. Weirdly, actually, in the video, I could not get those lights to look as they do on camera. Something to do with the way that Panasonic, that brand there, it's probably just some crap with cameras, but anyway.
Nick Barnes is pushing you here.
Well, that gets quite bright, doesn't it?
It doesn't show up on camera like it does in real life there.
No, in real life, that looks
Really?
like pretty nice. The white isn't really white; it's more of a blue. There's some fringing in there, definitely. Red is pretty red. It probably looks pink on camera because red's I can never get right.
Behind, don't I?
Green, pretty decent. And blue also quite decent as well. You can almost see where the LEDs are in there. The white is a weird one though. It doesn't do white very well. Seems to be a lot of fringing on white. We get that closer to the screen so you can see it.
Nick Barnes question.
Nick Barnes question. Compare with AIO in your new case live. I don't think this would stand much chance against the 3900. It might do actually, but I don't think under load it would do well. In fact, actually, the AIO probably in idle is probably worse. Yeah, there's definitely some weird fringing going there. Yeah. Can you see the fringe on that? It's not white. There's a little bit of red in. You see that?
JB's got banned on Facebook for 3 days for sharing something rude, and now I can't use Messenger, and now everyone is asking me if I'm okay, and I can't reply.
That sucks.
My account got hacked when I shared something I shouldn't have done.
Ugly Bob says,
weirdly.
That's actually quite nice. This is actually, it's putting through quite a lot of air on there.
Looks blue edges.
Yeah, there is a little bit of a blue tint to it, I think.
Comes out quite white.
It's not entirely silent, but that's it. 50. We'll see what percentage does it start making noise.
No.
So yeah, there we go. Just under 50% is where under 50% is silent, completely silent.
With your bat ears.
Yeah, I'm really sensitive to noise. I do seem to pick it up. There we go. Nick Barnes says, looks blue at the edges. Yeah, there is a weird, it is kind of, you do get that with some addressable RGBs, and some LEDs in fact. They do have that kind of blue effect. I used to find to get that with RAM quite a lot. But yeah, it does seem to be kind of bleeding through. I don't know if it's the controller or not. Still, yeah, it looks really good, and it's putting through quite a lot of air.
How do the blades feel on your fingers?
It's not very spinning very fast, so it's not really much of a test. That's painful.
Oh, man who sticks dirty spatula.
Man who sticks spatula in fan, he feels sore cocky all day. Right, that's enough of that. And you probably notice, well you won't notice because you probably can't see it. Oh, break and stuff. Smart fan technology is not even spinning.
See, let's get that sausage.
You don't even smell it burning or nothing.
Let's get the sausage Dave Aiken gave us and the Discord lot. See if it slices.
It's moving now. Oh yeah.
And see if that slices.
Oh, I won't get through that. No chance. Not a chance in hell. Oh. Right, let's go to auto. And let's turn that down because that's ridiculous. Good thing they're not metal blades. Yeah, if they're metal blades, it'll be like
the sausage on it.
It'll be like Yan Can Cook. Ordinary Dude says, what model cooler is that? This is the Thermaltake Assassin X120R SE White. I'm actually tempted. It probably would look quite cool in there. So I might actually test it against the 360 AIO and see how well it does. It clearly is not going to be as good, but if it can come within a few degrees of it for 26 quid...
You just glue gun it into that empty space.
Actually, that's not a bad idea. Let's just do that.
And see how cool it stays, if it stays up or not.
There we go. Made to measure.
Turn it on.
I can't now. I could actually stick it to the bottom of there, turn it around a little bit and have it as a GPU cooler. There, it fills a gap. Oh, it's blocking the unboxing, Mike's unboxing sticker now. Oh, it's a shame that cable's not a little longer. Right, so there we go. That is the Thermaltake Assassin. I'm never going to remember this name, am I? Thermaltake Assassin X120 RSE. Yeah, Assassin X120 RSE White. It was called something else just now.
Excuse me.
Oh, R stands for refined. That's what was going wrong. So this is the Assassin X120 Refined SE White ARGB. That should get some good views on YouTube because of the amount of words in the actual title. Ijusku says, I think this is one of the best looking cases I have ever seen, but I would consider getting one if it had a metal side panel with mesh in the area of the GPU, and third of the price is too expensive. It's not cheap. To be fair, it is not cheap. But that is the trouble these days. If you want something which is high quality, especially in this day and age, you do have to pay the premium for it, which is something that I think, sadly, we're just going to have to start getting used to, or just stick with what we got, which obviously is a valid alternative. Did that go on the top? I'm not very good at reboxing. Actually, Adam LZ, Adam Mods, you might be able to answer this, you may not, I don't know. But,
I think he's gone.
Oh, is he?
I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't seen him. If you are in the chat still, do you know, or are you aware, if, big if there is any likelihood of a Series 300? Just a slightly smaller version of what we've already got. Is that a bit Swiss? Yes, it is. Because I think a Series 300 would be a very, very cool alternative. And slightly smaller. Not even necessarily micro ATX, but like a more compact MIDI tower. Because that is something which we do notice from Thermaltake quite a lot. They do tend to go with their case kind of design families, or their kind of numbers. So there's like the 500 series, the 300 series, and the 100 series. And clearly those new CTE cases, being a 700 series or a 750, is, I'm guessing, to signify that they are big. So like a 700 case is obviously going to be like BMW. So a 7 series is bigger than a 5 series, 5 series is bigger than a 3 series, 3 series is bigger than a 1 series. Obviously, I've drastically simplifying that equation there, but you get the idea.
All owned by the same company.
Yeah. They're all owned by, yeah, they are all owned by the same company. Every single bloody one of them. If you're interested and you want to see who your favourite company is owned by, there is a website called StockZoa. That's stock, then ZOA.com. Just type in the company that you're thinking of and see who owns them. It's actually fascinating. I do it all the time. Whenever I see something a little bit odd, I look at it and say, right, so who owns them? Then I look at it and go, ah, makes total sense. Oh, to be a conspiracy theorist until the theories become reality. Aletta says, I love the Thermaltake CTE C750. Finally something big enough for me. Aletta says, Thermaltake has a Tower 200 now. Yeah, I thought I saw that. I thought I was dreaming or something. A Tower 200. So is that micro ATX still? Or is that ITX? Where did I put the box? There we go. So, Thermaltake Assassin. I think that has got to be a potential replacement or alternative to the Vitro V5, which seems to be coming up in price. Still off gassing. Dave Underhill says, try buying a Lian Li case. That makes that case look cheap. Yeah, Lian Li cases. I would say actually InWin as well. InWin cases have got really expensive. Like really expensive. They used to be at the point where they weren't a million miles off from some of the other sort of more premium cases. You could see there was the 101, the 101C. Those you could pick up for some of the reason about £70, which at the time was about 10 to 20 pounds dearer than everybody else. But now they seem to be like 20 to 30 pounds dearer, or maybe even 40 pounds dearer than everybody else. It's a real shame, because I really did like InWin stuff, but it just got to the point where it's just too expensive. But cases and everything are getting more expensive. I don't think there's anything we can really do to kind of get away from that fact. It is just one of those things. Sad but true. In fact, actually, for those of you that are in the UK, if you see any cheap power supplies or cases, please, please, please do let us know in our Discord, in the Bargains No Chat, or just drop me an email, mike@mikesunboxing.com, because it is getting really frustrating that there's just no cheap cases on the market. And it's even got to the point where there are some, believe it or not, some Thermaltake cases which I'd seen previously, which I discounted because of being a little bit too much for what they are. And now I'm looking at them thinking, actually, they make a lot of sense now. Things like the Thermaltake, is it the VC250 or VC350 or something? It's like a traditional tower case, vented front, 3 RGB fans at the front, one single 120 black fan at the back. At the time, it didn't look anything kind of outrageous. It just seemed a little bit expensive for what it was at the time. But the price hasn't changed, and it's still the same case. It actually looks pretty decent. Dutch Jan says, Mike, just stop buying. I know. I should do, really. But then it's nice to buy stuff and just keep on rotating and getting new stuff to see. But it has got to the point where, yeah, kind of... Oh, sorry to hear that, Stuart. Kids, eh? Our daughter's out on the lash. She'll be home at some point in the mid-morning. What's missing from up there? No idea. Anyway, so once again...
Have you checked out the Montec cases that CCL have been selling?
I have looked at the Montec cases. There's a Montec Mesh X3, which at the moment is $49.99, and it comes with 6 included fans, which are 3 140mm fans up front and 2 120s in the top, 1 in the back. But the fans are all static, fixed RGB, and they're all fixed RPM. So for 50 quid for a case, the fans are kind of disposable, I think. They look okay, and when you see the pictures of them, you get it. Steve over at Gamers Nexus did a review on it ages and ages ago, and he said, like, it is what it is. They're honest and they're upfront about it. They say the fans are fixed RPM. They are kind of trash tier fans, really. But if it was 40 quid, I would probably look at it. But because it's nearly 50, it's like there's loads of similar options on the market, which maybe don't come with as many fans, but come with possibly a better fan. So, yeah, I'm not sure. I'm going to see what that Thermaltake case was. Thermaltake...
Don't hiss at me, you're in one with your claw on my leg.
I'm sure it's a VC. 250? Oh, V250 TG. I was close.
Maybe need the Poundland cases and PSUs.
Yeah. That's not a bad idea. So, copy...
JB says that if only Carlsberg did PC cases.
Yeah, that would be nice, wouldn't it? Paste.
If only they did Facebook at Carl's book.
Oh, that's 89 now. I'm sure V250. Carlsberg Black Label.
Didn't we used to say that in the day?
I think we did. There we go. Thermaltake V250 TG ARGB tempered glass mid-tower case with 3 ARGB fans. Yeah, she's quite a looker. I should be able to share my screen. Actually, let's do... desktop. There we go. So that is the Thermaltake V250 TG ARGB tempered glass tower case with fans. It actually looks pretty decent. Loads of ventilation on there, included fans, lots of room, extra head height for radiators and stuff. Would have been nice to have a mesh on the front, but there is a reasonable gap down the front to let air in. And that's $69.98 at the moment. So 70 quid is kind of, it's okay, but I like better. And let's have a look at the Montech X3, Montech Mesh. Oh, did they not do them at scan? Where are we? Components, cases, mid-tower cases. Corsair 4000D, £89. I don't want featured, I want price low to high.
Mike, Shady asks,
yes, Shady.
have you ever checked how much more a PC that you have built in the past would cost today if you wanted to replicate the build?
I kind of have, but not to any great depth. I'm thinking, yeah, some of them haven't aged well price-wise, but some of them are actually cheaper now. I feel that a lot of the ones I've done previously have been pretty good value when they were originally done. That's not a bad case. Antec NX360, $49.99. That seems half decent. Decent amount of mesh. Got some nice fans on there. Not sure if it's got a hub or something on it. High airflow front panel. ARGB fans, 4 fans. Light up your desk. Oh yeah, a daisy chain as well. So that is that's quite handy. LED control button on the case as well.
JB's, I miss the
Yeah,
white
that
base
works.
cases that turn yellow after a while. But plastic always turns more yellow than the metal.
Yeah, the yeah, that is a bit of a concern actually. The yellowing of stuff. That's never a good look. Letter says, if I buy a Thermaltake CTE C750, I'll have to give a few of my older cases away. Freedom House 1984 says, during the GPU shortage, there seems to be a ton of cases that were cheap, and now the same case are like $15 to $20 more, if not more than that. Yeah, it's been, well, yeah, it's been some crazy times. It really has. And prices have got very bizarre. And talking of bizarre, something else which Ugly Bob sent. This is another one of his drunken purchases. So this is actually, I'm not sure how cool this is or how weird it is. It's somewhere in between. So somebody have a guess what that is. I know a lot of you are going to say it's a blah blah blah, but you'd probably be wrong. Bob says, I know, but you bought the bloody thing.
But would he know?
You probably don't know.
You couldn't remember buying it.
William Bodie says a GPU. Joe Panicchio says GT 1030. William Bodie 550 GPU. O'Reilly says a controller card. Nick Barnes GPU. Bob says, yeah, I was drunk when I got it. Scott Tate says it's NVMe enclosure. I think we can end it there. The backplate has no outputs, so that is somewhat of a giveaway. The fan on the top is a cooling fan for, well, cooling. Let's get a screwdriver and let's take this apart a little bit more. So this is an NVMe enclosure with a few loose fans. I think it's got itself loose in transit. I'm not too sure exactly how really you're meant to take this apart.
3050.
There are 2 screws in the back. 3050, yeah, it's probably. The new look 4070. So you take that off and there you go. This can hold 4 M.2 drives. That is barking mad. Absolutely barking mad. Hopefully you can see it. Actually, I should be able to get it on the overhead. Although I haven't turned the lights on, so you may not see that.
It's got total guess on my part.
Was it?
Mm.
Oh, well done. You did very well, sir. These are a bit loose. Let's tighten these up. So yeah, it is a 4-port.
Can't see it.
Oh,
It's got that message on.
oh yeah,
probably.
sorry. Lights, camera, and clear. There we go. So yeah, it's the world's most bizarre NVMe enclosure. Now, Bob, you're going to have to let me know about this. What on God's green earth is the deal with, well, with anything?
I've looked at these NVMe cards to get full speed on the drives. Motherboard needs to support it.
Right, so it says there it supports PCI Express Gen 4 PCI Express Gen 4 and times. I'll start that again. It says it supports PCI Express Gen 3 and 4. So I'm guessing there should be 4 screws for each drive, which appears to be the case. There are also 4 little mounting doodads. So that is to
Why don't you get,
go on the end of the drive.
Why don't you get Ugly Bob to give you a voice call on Discord and then he can speak on the stream?
That would be a good idea if I could do that. How much did it cost? I have no idea.
Does it not make a GPU slower?
Potentially it would, depending on what you plug this into. So
PCI 16 question mark.
in theory it is PCI Express 16 because all of the pins are completely done, like made up. So yeah, if in theory I'm guessing this can take 4 PCI Express Gen 4 times 4 drives.
It costs £24 posted.
24 quid.
Should we all put 69 in the chat for Bob
Yeah, put 69 in the chat for Bob, everyone,
as a thank you?
because he likes that. Oh, is the stream frozen? Oh no, my finger's just in the same place for too long. Yeah, so
My screen's a bit slow.
I'm guessing those go, because there's like an indentation on those. So does that go through? Because there's no instructions in here at all. Literally nothing at all.
It does go.
So I don't know how this actually works unless you do these from behind, so to speak. And then that goes on top.
JB's, I'm tempted to get one of these myself for no reason at all. And then it looks cool and it has a cooling fan on it. Lol.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. I'm not sure how loud the cooling fan's going to be though. That is something to be considered, I feel. Well, I guess that is kind of how it works. So there's, you put the 4 drives in, and if you have, well, yeah, 4 PCI Express Gen 4 times 4 drives on there running through a times 16 bus. I'm not sure what motherboard would take advantage of that. I think actually I've got an Intel board which might do that.
Made to set up RAID?
Yes, you could set up a RAID array on there. Or just have an absolute gazillion gigabytes of storage. But these are very, very insane drives.
In the main brain.
O'Reilly says that looks about right for mounting the drives. I think it, yeah, I can't see how else you would do it. I guess if you've got smaller drives, you can mount it slightly lower down.
I assume there is no driver or software utility.
There's nothing, there isn't even a piece of paper inside there. So I might have to get, I think Bob's already sent me the link for it actually. So I might have to visit the link and check out the information there. Because clearly I'm going to have to brush up my skills for doing an unboxing on this. It's going to be definitely a niche product because there's not everybody's got a spare PCI Express x16 slot.
Does this take the cheaper NVMe drives?
Yeah, you can use basically any NVMe drive. And actually NVMe drives at the moment, the SATA ones, are actually cheaper than the, NVMe PCI Express drives are the cheaper ones. And I'm guessing, yeah, NVMe 4-port. So, oh, it does say underneath there. I'll take that out there. Is that going to come out? Oh, I don't want to break it, don't want to break it. I'm not going to break it. So just there it says...
Do you have 4 drives to test it?
I don't. So PCI Express 16 to M.2 NVMe 4-port. So it is going to need a quite substantial. What's rattling there? Ah, it's the fan. There's some metal washers around the fan, which are not quite tightened up.
Without any hardware RAID chip on that PCB, is it just a way of adding more M.2 ports to a system without changing the motherboard?
Yeah, I think it is, because there doesn't appear to be any... There's no RAID chip on there as such. There's controllers. And there's 2 chokes on there, which are going to be for power delivery. There we go. But it's such a bizarre unit.
Is there a difference between NMWE? I don't know if that's meant to be MV.
Yeah, NVMe is faster and is on a different type of protocol. So SATA M.2 drives basically use the SATA protocols. So you're going to be limited on your transfer speeds because it's a serial ATA bus, which is basically an enhanced version of the parallel ATA bus, which is used by hard drives back in the day. NVMe is a completely different architecture and data transfer, and the two aren't kind of compatible with each other in general. Some boards actually have the ability to have a SATA or NVMe drive on them, but that is becoming more and more scarce as time goes on.
Is it a 15 by 90 fan?
50 by 90 mil. I'm not sure. I'll have a look.
And Chris Hartford?
There we go. There's all the screws in there now. Yeah, that's considerably less rattly. Let's have a quick measurement of the fan. I would say, well, it depends where you're measuring it from, I suppose. The actual total width of the fan is 76 mil. So I'd say it's probably 75 mil. Yeah, 75 mil fan. That is it's an incredible design. Although, if you've got any drives that have got built-in thermal stuff, you might want to take the fan off and put it on the other side just to give yourself some more room. So you can see down through there. So you can undo the screws, take the fan off, put it on the other side, and then if it had heat sinks on the drives already, you could still physically put them in, although you will be obviously eating into the space in the rest of your PCI Express system. But yeah, there's a very... When I first looked at it, I thought, wow, that's a weird graphics card. And I thought, oh, it's been ripped off because it's got no outputs on it. But it does appear on that back channel there. I did notice there, this is 1, 2, 3, 4 on there. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's actually corresponding LEDs on the actual PCB. So you can see which drive is actually active.
Chris Hartford's done.
YouTube channel
No,
build.
Well, go down to that eventually.
Chris Underhill. The motherboard needs PCIe bifurcation mode in BIOS, otherwise it would only show up with one drive.
But then he's put at the bottom, build or buy has a lot of videos testing these guys.
Oh, alright, cool. I might have to take a look at that then.
Build or buy, shall I write it down because you'll never remember.
Yeah. David Underhill says, only supports software BIOS RAID, no hardware RAID. Yeah, there's no hardware chip on here that I can see or that would look even remotely familiar to me.
Hey, Pops.
To support hardware RAID. Although these days software RAID I think isn't terrible. I would be relatively happy just to have it as a JBOD, just a bunch of drives. Let's go back to the main. So yeah, that is very cool. I'm gonna have to see what I can put it in. I'm wondering if, even though it fits in a 16x slot, if you plug it into a slot which only supports ×4 and you only plug in one drive, do you still get the ×4 speed? Is Maisie dead?
She's asleep.
Oh yeah, tail's moving. Or if you put it in a ×8 slot, do you get 2 drives? Or if you then put 4 drives in, do they get ×2 between them? Which, to be honest with you, even then, PCI Express Gen 4 ×2 or PCI Express Gen 3 ×2 is still considerably faster than a SATA drive. So yeah, that is a very, very interesting look into an area which I'm not overly kind of used to. So it's going to be a bit of a learning process for me, which I kind of like, knowing more about these things. Although I'm not looking forward to the YouTube comments where it'll be like, well, blah, 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 technical theory, blah, blah, blah. You're an idiot. Yeah, nice. Okay. At which point I click on the smiley icon and say, thank you for your comment. Thanks for stopping by. I could have put this in a bigger bag. David Under says 4 times cheap SSDs would be better than HDD in a media server. Yeah, if you want to keep the noise down, then like this is a really good way of doing it, because hard drives, even if you get the best of hard drives, they rumble, they make a noise. My NAS, which is a pretty decent NAS, and I've got relatively slow spinning drives, we've got the Ironwolf drives, which are 5900 RPM, which is a little bit slower than the actual feck is that. Although color coded, Mike's Unboxing Blue. Yeah, they are noisy, so making a NAS box, which is actually something which I'm kind of considering doing, but then they are getting really expensive if you look for big, large kind of, well, what have I got in my drive? I've got 16 terabytes in my NAS at the moment. So 16 terabytes in there would be 4 4-terabyte drives. And 4 terabyte drives are not going to be cheap. So we're not quite there yet. But for storage, it could be very useful. Especially on, there's motherboards, actually saying that now, there's motherboards that haven't got many M.2 slots. They're not going to have many PCI slots either. Anyway, we will cross that bridge when we come to it. Nick Barnes says, if you only access one drive, then 4x would be enough, surely. yeah, if you're just doing it as just a bunch of discs, then that should be fine. If you're using it as a NAS, because you kind of share, or the files are distributed across the drives, I'm not too sure how that would affect it. And actually, I'm going to put that ice cream back in the fridge, Babs. It's melting.
Okay.
David Undrill says ITX motherboard and a 5600G and a 4X M.2. That would be... Actually, I've got that little micro ATX system, although...
Right, flaming.
Actually, no, I can't do it in there because it's too small. I won't be able to physically put it in the slots.
Okay.
I have to take the top off. Scott Tate says 4TB NVMe are still about 500 plus quid. Yeah, that is a lot, isn't it? Yeah, so anyway, definitely some things to investigate there. I think it's just generally cool anyway, just to take a look at it and see what it's all about. And I have got, I think, a motherboard which might just do that. This is in my my goodies bin. I don't think you guys have seen this yet. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. I'm not sure. Ah, and there's my other jumper. It wasn't the cat's fault. It was my fault. I left it in there. Oh, BIOS flashing. Oh no, motherboard review, wasn't it? I did the motherboard review and I needed to power up the LEDs. So this bad boy, this is ridiculously heavy. Asus ROG Strix Z590-F gaming Wi-Fi. What an absolute beast. This also has 4 M.2 slots, but costs a little bit more than £26 plus postage, or whatever it was plus postage. So this has, at the bottom, I can't believe I just flexed on the motherboard then. This is another Intel board actually. I hope you are aware of that. This is another Intel system. So, M.2 here, that side, M.2 that side, another M.2 there, and another M.2 there. So that one's PCI Express Gen 4x4, that's PCI Express Gen 4x4, and those two at the bottom are PCI Express Gen 3x4. So this board has got some crazy, crazy stuff going on. And this is, well, currently under the hood, so to speak, is a Intel 11400, which I think is the, yes, it is a straight 11400. So because that's got onboard graphics, I could use that top PCI Express x4 16 slots, put that other card in to get the full bandwidth out of it. So that is actually excellent timing. So I can put the drive in there, put a drive in there as a boot drive, and then use the other one as, I don't know, some crazy test drive.
You need another tea?
Yes, I think I do actually. SC, how you doing SC? Mike, are you going to give us a head up on whether you'll test it with the 36600, 35? I've got that. That's the 13400F, but that is not for this board. That is for another board. This is another Intel system, which at some point will need to be built. I am getting to the point where ATX cases are kind of slightly scarce. I guess it's down to things like shipping costs, etc. Oh, splinter. So I'm gonna, yeah. Things are a little bit weird in that front at the moment. So I'm not too sure what I'm gonna actually build this into. Oh, god damn it. This board is so heavy. It is insane. The heat sinks on here alone. This must weigh well over a kilo. It must do. I'm guessing that big heatsink there, which is feckin' huge, because that is basically all of that section there, and it even goes underneath the plastic section there, right to the very edge. So that's got to be at least 350 grams. The top one has got to be about another I don't know, 200 grams. And then you've got 1, 2, 3, plus another one over the actual chipset itself. So yeah, that's got to be at least 500 to 600 grams, probably another 100 and something. Then you've got the weight of the board itself. Yeah, it's got to be at least a kilo. It has to be. Absolutely ridiculously heavy. Very, very sturdy. Yeah, so ROG Strix Z590-F gaming Wi-Fi. This was another kind of really good deal that I got from our good friend, Kieran. And yeah, it's one of those weird things, like you think 11400 is only a little bit faster than a Ryzen 5 3600. Kind of swings and roundabouts with that. And obviously you can't overclock it or anything. And those you can buy brand new now for £90. It makes you think like a lot of these motherboards which are coming out, like this board, it is a chunky beast of a board. And if you were to buy this brand spanking new now, not that you should do because obviously it's an older platform now, but on ASUS's own site, this board retails for £190, which is £100 more than the processor can be bought for, roughly, or an equivalent processor. Just insane. Absolutely insane where prices have gone. Ever since the 10th, well, probably 11th gen Intel, it's all gone just completely mad. Absolutely mad. And it's kind of ruining it, I think, for a lot of people. The budget boards, like A320 boards now, I've said it before and I keep on saying it, they used to be like 29 to £39 for pretty much all of the range. And now you're lucky if you can pick one up for 50. It's just really weird. So yeah, this has got, yeah, as Hugh says there, 8-layer PCB. I think it is, it might even be more. It's really flipping heavy. Nick Barnes, sorry, what board is that? Oh, it did say it's the ROG Strix Z590F gaming Wi-Fi, which basically I've not seen anyone do anything with. Everyone else seems to go for the E version. There's a Strix-E. This is the Strix-F. But anyway, I honestly can't get over how heavy this board is. This is heavier than most graphics cards by a long way. And it's got I think it's a 14 plus 2 phase VRM. Insane amounts of VRM stuff going on here. John Sullivan says, kind of done with Intel, but I might go back at some point. I don't know. Like I said, I bought that processor. I wanted to try what 13th gen stuff is like. I've done the AMD thing to death. I can't see me going for AM5 for the foreseeable future. So I thought this was a good thing to do. And also, I think I had an 11400 before with a RTX 2060. And it was a nice system. It wasn't overly, like, it wasn't outrageously fast or anything. Didn't get things done in a really quick fashion. But I'm kind of thinking, because Kath's PC now, Ryzen 5 2600, she does video editing for her own channel, which you should watch and join and subscribe if you haven't already to Shop Smart. Please do. Yeah, for video editing, this has got built-in graphics. So QuickSync would work really well with the Adobe Premiere. Kath needs an upgrade at some point.
No.
She says no. So this may end up going into Kath's machine. And then I can take out the old ASRock B450 Pro 4 and the 2600 and put that into like a little budget system to flip. And then get something else to replace. But yeah, it's I honestly don't know what to do with it. I don't know. I kind of didn't want it, but then at the price it was offered, it was like, well, and it helped because I got rid of a vacuum. So I did a part exchange with a robot vacuum and some cash for this. So I can't use a robot vacuum for reasons I've discussed before with the cats, because the robot vacuum doesn't recognize poop and basically smears it around the entire floor area, which is never a good look. So anyway, it's an interesting thing to look at. The 10th and 11th gen I was quite interested in, I quite liked it, and it's pretty decent value for money. And look at the USB on the back of that. That's got a lot of stuff going on. Oh, there's a little chip out there. So yeah, there's lots of, if I get out of the way, can you see? Probably can't. Skystalker says, what's the difference between the E and the F version? I honestly don't know. I cannot see, I haven't looked into it in enough depth. Maybe it's a revision that is in a different region, I'm not entirely sure. But I can't see how they can really add much more to this. It's got Wi-Fi 6E, it's got 2.5 gigabit Ethernet, it's got 10 USB ports, BOS flashback, HDMI, 4 PCI Express, NVMe's. What else could you want on a board? Apart from software that works.
A nice mocha.
A nice mocha, yeah. What are you breaking now?
It's just the arm of the chair.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So anyway, there is that one. I do seem to be going into the Intel stuff. It may not be good for the channel, because a lot of you don't like watching Intel-based videos, but what can I say?
Nick Barnes?
Nick Barnes, what's he saying? If you use 11th gen Intel, does that mean PCI Express Gen 4 GPU lanes? Yes. You can still use it with Gen 3, but it has got Gen 4 PCI Express GPU lanes and also the primary M.2 drive and primary and secondary, it seems, on this one. Although I've got a feeling that the second M.2 runs off the chipset. There's a lot of weird stuff that goes on with this chipset. And it does kind of... I'm sure there's only 20 lanes which are actually available from the processor. So 16 are going to go to the graphics card, 4 are going to go to the primary M.2. But I don't know whether they include the 4 that goes to there, or whether they automatically include the 4 that goes from the processor to the chipset, because that also is a PCI Express Gen 4, I think, or times 3, times 4, whatever, anyway. So, yeah, I don't quite understand the PCI Express links. There's too many to consider.
Right.
Dutch Jan says, F has no Wi-Fi. Well, this is the F and it has Wi-Fi, so it must be the E. E variants have 2.5 gigahertz, so can't be that one, because this has 2.5 gig Ethernet. Hi Kev2427, how you doing? Good to see you.
Shady.
Shady. Why can I not see that? Oh, hi Mike, Cooler Master, Masterbox MB511, ATX case, 43 quid on Amazon UK. Thank you, Kath, write that down, MB511. We haven't had a Cooler Master case on this show for a long time. But for 43 quid, I'm sure we can. Does it have diagnostic code display? It has LEDs, but it doesn't have the 8-digit thing. So that might be it. Dutch Jan says the F has no Wi-Fi. Well, this definitely has Wi-Fi.
You've read those lower ones,
Yeah.
and now you've got them again and you're reading them out again.
Sorry. Oh, sorry, the E has, yeah. It's confusing, I don't know. It's very weird. Kev2427 says the F15 is still my go-to case. Yeah, it is actually. Dutch Jan's come in with a Versys.com. Let's have a look. So the E... Oh, that's the X570. This is a Z590. I can put that in there, I think, but can I? Translate to English, yes. Oh no, it won't let me put it in. Yeah, if you do the same with the Z590, that would be fantastico.
Matthew Jones.
The F is just a reskin tough. Intel 1 gig LAN. E has... Yeah, it doesn't sound like that at all, Scott. Because this has got 2.5 gig LAN, Wi-Fi 6E. I don't know.
Matthew Jones.
Hey, Matthew Jones. I got an RX 3060 Ti, 3X fan. I'm going to get MSI B550 Game Plus Mobo. I'm going to add Ryzen 5 5600. Which BIOS flash version should I use? Well, if you're buying a Gaming Plus Mobo, it should come with that BIOS on anyway, so I wouldn't worry about it. Unless it's an old board, but even that, if it's an old board and you're not sure, get the latest BIOS, get the very newest one, because there's some security fixes as well. It is slightly slower, so it is going to make your system very, very slightly slower, but it has got security patches in there for some of the AMD chipsets or AMD processor problems, but kind of you want to do that. Dutch Jan says the E has 2 RJ45 ports. This only has 1. Ordinary Dude just picked up some Microsoft keys from your link. Best prices I've seen, thanks. Thank you for helping support the channel.
Give them a bit of a plug.
Yeah, we should do. William Bodie says the E version has 5 M.2 slots. Jesus. Where do they find the room? I can't even imagine where you'd get an extra slot. Is it on the back? I haven't looked on the back. I have. No, there isn't a slot there.
E's are good, E's are good.
Ebony's are good. Has anybody got any viewers? Sorted. God, showing your age there, Bob. And I am also at the same time. Yeah, I know this board definitely has Wi-Fi, because there's the Wi-Fi antenna with the Asus ROG instant erection tool.
Is it extended ATX?
No, it's regular ATX. And it comes in an Asus Aurora B550 box. I don't know what it is. I quite like Intel systems. I like building them up. I don't know what. There's a little mystique to them.
You okay?
But I'm not overly keen on Intel chipset drivers. Having said that, I'm not overly keen at the moment on AMD chipset drivers either, because it seems the all-in-one tool no longer works. So if you need to install an AMD system now, you can't just go auto-detect and it goes, oh, chipset drivers and, oh, graphics card drivers. You have to do it all yourself manually now. Out that hurt. Which is rubbish. I'm not a fan of that at all. So, yeah, looking forward to that. Kieran's sending me the other board out, which is the B660, which is fine because we can't overclock anything on this anyway.
Kev's in.
Maisie, what are you doing?
Click tech.
Hey, Kev. God, voice is gone. I don't know what's the matter with my throat tonight. William Bailey says, and the E version has 3 PCI Express times 16 slots. Jeepers.
Shady?
Shady. If I upgrade to Windows 11 from 10, but I want a fresh install, what's the best way of going about it? If you want the upgrade for free, I would do the upgrade from 10 to 11, and then wipe the system, and then reinstall with a fresh Windows 11, if you can. Alternatively, it depends what data you've got. If you haven't got any data on there that you need, and if you have your Windows 10 or Windows 11 license key, and you know it works, I would probably just nuke it and start a game with 11. But if you want to get the free upgrade, then yeah, start with 10, upgrade to 11, then nuke it, then reinstall.
Kev's not ill, he's just got better.
Oh, well done, Kev. Glad you're better. Again.
I've already put that.
O'Reilly says, I learned a lesson at work. Do not go for OEM builds. HP 285G3 does not have any internal USB headers on the motherboard for expansions like PCIe, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, etc., which Mike reviewed. Wise words. Wise words indeed. Already says there is a M.2 Wi-Fi card slot for optional Wi-Fi but it has an E key M2 and not necessarily supporting M.2 Wi-Fi cards, which are E plus A or E plus M key cards. Yeah, they're probably, I'm not sure, all of that stuff, all the M.2 keys, the E keys, the M keys and that, it's just a pain that they made it all so kind of not simple when they could have done, I think, personally. But what I think about it doesn't matter. I think we should probably wrap this up now because Kath has got to get up and do stuff in the morning. Alright, so I really don't like M.2 keys. It drives me bonkers. Yeah, it does. It's alright if you can just buy brand spanking new PCI Express Gen 4 stuff all the time, but that isn't always a reality because it's too expensive to do. And there's so many other boards on the market which are just mixtures. Like some of the ASRock boards that were supposed to be Wi-Fi, but they've taken the Wi-Fi card out, but the M.2 key is still there that you can use, but it's an E key, not a normal one. So people look at it and go, oh, M.2 port, I'll get a drive to go in there, and they get a drive and it doesn't fit. Or they get a Wi-Fi card and try and plug it into a normal M.2 slot and it doesn't fit. It's just a nightmare. Shady, can I format original boot drive through MSI BIOS? No, but you can format it through the Windows 11 startup routine. When it says where do you want to install Windows, choose custom, then you go into the individual drives and format them, wipe them, clear them, whatever you want to do. Ordinary Dude, Mike, have you explored using an M.2 drive in an external adapter as an install media drive? If not, you should. It works great. That's not a bad idea. Rick H, thanks Gan, had a great time. Nice to see you supporting us Intel folks. Well, I try. It's not for being a fanboy, it's just its value at the moment. And actually, I'm genuinely interested to see how well this performs. If this performs as well or better than my 5800, I will be very, very surprised. And if it performs better than my 3900, I will probably, well, yeah, I'll be quite upset because that stuff's always cost me a lot of money. Right, let's wrap things up. Hopefully you've had a relatively entertaining and informative night. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Actually, I had the bloody streaming thing up for ages. There we go. Thank you all for your super chats, donations, and all that usual stuff. You are awesome. The Ugly Bob as well. Again, stop drinking, dude. Stop drinking.
I don't think he's drinking tonight.
He's on January. What's it?
Veganary.
He's on Veganary. Yeah, so he's not drinking. Not drinking blood. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for commenting, etc. I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching.